So welcome to Storm King's Thunder, where me and a bunch of my nerdy-ass friends get together and we play Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and
Dragons! When we last left off of Session 12 in our campaign, the party had just departed from the Crypt Garden Forest after meeting up with our old friend Kolkar and meeting the dragon Old Gnawbone. After being pointed northward by this dragon, they headed south toward Waterdeep. When Valkyr chimed in, told them of the donation that Safine had sent, and told them that there were some things they could do with this to help improve the city that a few of your retainers recommended, and you guys ultimately decided to have the stonecutter built that would help finish up the keep and also prove useful in the future. Along the way, you did discover a dig site of the Vonendod, which a fire giant was manning a crew of ogres and bugbears and goblins to unearth this absolutely massive machination made of adamantine steel. I guess it's steel. It's stone steel. It's kind of ambiguous. Almost obsidian-esque, I would say. After causing some unsettling thoughts in some of the ogres and goblins, you were able to start a small uprising and have them rise up against the bugbears and the fire giant, essentially separating the fire giant from the rest of his forces, and you guys were able to sock it to him. The fire giant did get in a very solid crit on Davos, which dropped him, and would have killed him had you guys not had your fiery friend Ember to save your asses. Ember picked Davos back up, and about that time, a great axe came flying through the air, and Harshnag the Grim, your new frost giant ally-ish, had appeared on the scene and helped you finish off the fire giant, but admittedly, you guys did not need much help. Granted, 6v1, not super fair odds, but you were able to scrap some things from the Vonendod, learn a few things from the fire giant before Harshnag executed him, and Harshnag told you he too was heading north to this temple, way up past the Valley of Kedrun, where he was seeking to gain wisdom from the oracle that lies in the Temple of the Allfather. He told you that you would need an offering of some type of giant artifact of Astoria, the giant country that predates Faerun. From there, you lobbed the fire giant head off and hauled it all the way down to Waterdeep, turned it into the Lord's Alliance for 500 gold, and had to go take a bath in the ocean and give our good friend Gulbrand a moment of existential dread as he realized just how fucking massive the ocean is. Also spoke with the octopus a little bit and tried to learn a little bit more about its mindset in its orb, and it seemed relatively content as a contained animal could be. Granted, much more liberal space than perhaps SeaWorld has for their creatures, but, it's not uncontent, I will say. Lastly, as you guys returned to the bar, the Flag and Dragon, you came in to find Davos, who you had sent in earlier to get rooms, on stage with a blue-skinned tiefling with a violin and a long phoenix feather that he was using to play the strings as they performed a Fey Fighter song, much to the bar's enjoyment. During that process, Ember, now at that point an egg, but hatched to a chick at the sound of this music, and raced up to the stage where Mezzo flourished the phoenix feather, igniting Ember into flame and basically accelerating the aging process for your little baby phoenix, turning it into an adolescent. And that, my dudes, is where we are going to pick up this week's session. I did speak with Davos, who was, again, unable to join us, and he and Mezzo have had sort of an exchange. As you guys come in, you see the two, as the music ends and the bar is rowdy and sort of settling after that exciting moment. You see the two of them talking and chatting, and as you make your way up there, you hear Mezzo say, "Now I told Orin that if he were that he had to get me into the Bard's College here, in exchange for a favor that I had done for him some time ago, and he failed to follow up on that, and now he wants me to join you in some back alley keep." Davos chimes in, "Well, Oren just sort of overplayed his hand. He thought he could get you in and he couldn't. He's sorry about it. Devis goes on to say that we're trying to gather up a few bards, very talented ones, and you definitely make that cut. We've never had violin in the Fey Fighters, but I think that you have an excellent addition, and I dig what you've done with our music. And Mezzo, piecing together that these bards are coming together, that this songwriter creates music that he enjoys and that he can definitely get down to. Sort of nods his head and says, "All right, I'll come with you, but when we get back to Nightstone, I get to punch Orin." Davos gives a laugh, and the two shake hands, and you've essentially gained a new traveling companion to get back home. You guys...
Gulbrand looks at Davos. Mm-hmm. Can I also punch Orin's?
Davos goes, "You might kill him, big guy. You gotta hold back a little bit." Speaking of punches, you guys have taken some hits. This is still the same day where you fought the fire giant, so most of you, I imagine, are in a rough form. So, in that regard, you find that Davos has already got you rooms. You rest up for the evening, have a nice meal, a few mugs of ale, and as you awake the next day, you come back down to the inn, now much quieter, very few patrons enjoying a breakfast of cured meats and eggs and what passes for coffee here. And what would you like to do in this wonderful city of Waterdeep, my dudes?
I want to go to an armor. If there's like a dude selling armor, maybe he's got something better than what I got. I can wear heavy armor, and what I got right now is like some chain mail.
It's like,
so,
okay,
I don't know.
Yeah, you could. There is a couple of market districts. You could choose. You could do one of three things. You could go to the castle market, where you could try to buy armor from one of the merchants there. You could go down to the trades district and try to have something made, but it would take a little longer. Or you could, you do know that you have Miros and Nightstone, who also is an armorer, and may have something for you to use. So you can choose to do any of those three, my dude.
I'm going to go down to the castle market and see what they got.
Yeah. So as you guys exit the Flag and Dragon, you're actually not even that far from the castle market. You come out into this ring of stalls, and even at this early hour, it's very active. There's a variety of goods being sold. Sorry?
I was about to say, is it a holiday today?
Technically, yes. Not so highly celebrated in this sort of urban area, but green grass is typically when crops would be planted, when the official end of winter, and it's a jovial time, and while there's not much of a...
Holiday.
Sorry?
Redneck holiday, heard.
Redneck, basically. More of a farmer's holiday. But as you come out, you see a number of booths around in a large circle, very bazaar-esque, and you see people selling spices and herbs and food and crops. You see jewelry, you see weapons and armor to a more limited degree. This seems to be more for the general people of the city to shop rather than your extraordinary adventurers, we'll say.
Right, yeah.
But
not for like soldiers and shit, just like basic.
Yeah, you could certainly check out what they have. You do see a couple of booths with the type of metalware that it's actually sort of clumped together, 3 or 4 tents that all seem to sort of specialize in this type of equipment. And as you browse through, you can find any type of basic armor. So, you can find plate mail, scale mail, chain mail, but you're not going to find anything that's like a +1 or anything fancy like that. You gather that that's a little bit more of a rarity.
I see. Can I ask to take a look at the plate mail?
Sure, yeah. So plate mail, and let me get up here so I make sure I'm giving you the right numbers. Plate mail is a heavy armor, and it's pretty expensive. It is 1,500 gold pieces. Gives you an 18 armor class. You have to have at least a 15 in strength, and your disadvantage on stealth if you're wearing it.
I see.
The
Okay.
next grade down, as far as heavy armor goes, is splint mail. It's much more affordable. It's 200 gold for 17 armor class. But again, you have to have a 15th strength, and you have disadvantage on stealth, regardless of whether or not you meet that strength requirement.
Okay.
Do
All
you
right.
do you meet that strength requirement?
Now I'm like one short.
Okay, so you can do
Yeah.
chainmail, which is 16. I think that might be what you have, though. Is that what you said?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, what is your dex?
Chain shirt is what I have.
Chain shirt, that's a little different. So a chain shirt is a
Okay.
13 plus your dex. What is your dex mod, by the way?
My dex. 13 is the modifier. Is that the modifier, or is one
Or
the modifier?
the modifier is the single digit number, like 1, 2, 3, which
Okay.
13 would
Yeah.
be
One is the
1. Okay. So with that, you could get scale mail, which would bring you to a total of 15. It would be 50 gold, and it still would give you a disadvantage on your stealth. Or you could pay 400 for the breastplate, and that would give you a total of 15, but you don't have to have a strength score, and you don't have to have disadvantage on stealth. It's just 400 gold and the 15 AC.
Yeah, I think I want to do that. What was it, the breastplate you said?
Breastplate, yeah. Okay. So you should be able to add that into your inventory on D&D Beyond, and if you mark it as equipped, it should go ahead and update your AC. But if somebody will drop in the bag of holding just minus 400 gold, and I will drop that. Yeah, and that'll make it a little easier for us to keep up with this.
I suppose I should have asked if I could spend that money, but
No, straight up, you can spend that money. I don't see
Yeah.
no reason you can't.
You guys have earned this money. You know, it's not reserved for anything, and you will have quite a bit. There's going to be some expensive things coming up, but you guys are set for a minute.
all right.
We also have some money
now-
to collect in town.
Could I sell this chain shirt back to him, or should I like hang on to it, like to give to the troops or someone in our party?
You could do either or. If you sell it, they only give you a percentage of the value back. You would be selling it for 30 gold.
Okay. I think I'll just hang on to it. See if maybe I can't give it to somebody later.
That's very, very clericy of you. I like it. You
So
hand
theories mice likes to have stats.
you hand over the 400 gold to the merchant, who's thrilled and gets you a very nice breastplate. It's silver-esque, obviously made from some type of superior steel, covers your full chest down to just below your ribs, and where you would have, a larger belt with equipment hanging off of it, your mace, perhaps some vials of such. It gives you still plenty of room to where you're not having to fight around the breastplate to get to that stuff, and gives you pretty solid protection. There's a couple of large pauldrons on the sides, not quite like the raised metal, but enough of a lip to where you feel like there's some extra protection around your vitals. And you feel
Nice.
you swap into it.
Many thanks, kindly merchant.
Yeah. he bows his head and says, "Oh, anytime. Come back anytime you want, pal." Don't know why he's from New York, but there you have it. I guess Waterdeep is the closest probably to New York you'll find. Maybe Neverwinter, but yeah.
You did just make him a rich man.
No, yeah, indeed. Anything else you gentlemen would like to do in the vast city of Waterdeep?
Gulbrand, seeing this exchange happen, wants to just walk around the bazaar, and once he understands this is kind of how this works, he just wants to see what catches his eye. I can't.
Roll
he's
a
not
perception
a city
check for
dweller.
me.
He doesn't exactly know the best things to shop for, quote unquote. So he's going to do the only thing he knows to do, and just take a look, walk around, and look at shit.
Okay. Oh, let me
See
get
if
over here where I can see
anything
us
catches
go.
his barbarian brain.
All right, what's that? 14.
14.
Okay. So you make your way around, and again, you see a variety of things. There's a section of stalls that seems to be for clothing, both suits and dresses and gowns, shirts and pants and trousers and belts and boots and buckles and all sorts of things. Nothing that really catches your eye at that point. Yeah.
Space.
You continue on a little bit, and you find an area that seems to be more representative of the trades. You see people who are selling everything from horseshoes and nails to woodworking tools, as well as leatherworking, alchemy tools, tools for tradesmen. You also see you do see a couple of stalls that have spices and herbs, and the aromas sort of mix, and you catch a strong whiff of it. It's too convoluted to really make out any clear scent, but one does come through a little stronger. You do catch the familiar aroma of bloodweed. And within a second or two of smelling it, spot the particular booth that has a large jar, a large pot, what's the word I'm looking for? Ceramic, about 3 feet tall, couple of feet in diameter, that's just absolutely filled with this ruddy red grass that you've come to be very familiar with. You're welcome to approach, or if you choose to continue on, you'll see a few more stalls and booths.
I think he'd go on past that because he knows how to get that himself.
Yeah. As you go further down, you see part of it that's more dedicated to food. You see crops and fish. You see slabs of meat. You find a butcher, and who is happy to sell you for 2 silver a leg of turkey, and he'll even allow you to roast it on a small fire pit he has to the side, or roast it for you rather. And he will prepare that, and as he does, you see him reach into a couple of smaller pots with spices and seasonings in them, and just sort of lightly throw them over, which to you as a barbarian is a little unusual. I mean, you guys have perhaps some things that you use to flavor your food, but it's not...
The fucks are you doing to that?
Oh, making it taste better, my friend. Trust me, this stuff here is a Waterdeep special. We're going to hook you up real nice here. And you see him throw a reddish powder as he slowly turns it on this spike, and then he also does some dry green leaves, and just like crumples them over the leg as it turns. And after a few minutes, he removes it from the spike and passes it over to you. Do you choose to eat it, or are you kind of turned off by the spices?
Nah, Gulbrand tucks in immediately. He's fucking hungry.
Yeah. You anime style put the whole thing in your mouth to pull out a clean bone. No, you take a bite, and it's very delicious. It's rich, a little gamey as turkey legs often are. You have the flavor of the seasonings is different, unusual, but not bad. It's growing on you. The more you eat, the more familiar you become with it, and the less it becomes an oddity, and the more it becomes savory. And you very much enjoy your
first
breakfast.
Experience with cooking.
Yeah. Well, you had Tally and I think Davos cook for you a couple of times.
That's
you're
true.
not completely foreign to the concept. It's just not something you're quite accustomed to yet.
Yeah, cooking isn't like you're talking with spices and stuff. Culinary shit.
Somewhere Dimitri is crying in the one night stand.
Sly.
You're right.
Sly. That took me through for a second. Gulbrand, with a mouthful of turkey, will ask the peddler. Sorry, I can't think of the word.
You're fine.
It just
in this case,
merchant,
the butcher.
The butcher. He'll say, "My companions and I are fond of this red drinks that makes us feel better. Because there's a place I can get some more of these things."
Oh, yes, you're talking about wine there, aren't you, mate? Yeah, you go down a couple of booths, ask for old Moria. She'll take good care of you.
It's not... Gulbrand just walks towards wherever he pointed.
Okay. You go down a couple of stalls, and you find one that, well, most of these booths seem more functional than fashionable, rough... tarps and canvases used to cover up the top of the booth. This one is much more luxurious. Red fabric draped around the entryway. Not a full covered tent, but has sort of a pointed red canopy. And as you approach, you see dozens of bottles of wine from various wineries in the area, a few that seem native to Waterdeep, some that seem like they have been imported from other areas of Faerun, a few bottles with labels that, while you're not you understand common enough to recognize the common language, and you see different scripts and stuff. And you do find one in particular that is the wine that you actually found in the old, I think it was was it the Goblin Caves?
In the caves.
The Dripping Caves? With the artwork being the demon on it, and you remember it being the spicy red wine.
Mm-hmm.
They do have some whites and a couple rosés or two. But that's the woman there is short blonde hair. You point to the demon wine?
Yeah.
He goes, exquisite taste. No, yes, that one, I believe, import rate, delivery, and in storage. I believe that'll run you about 6 gold a bottle. A little steeper than...
A little expensive, yeah.
Little steeper than some of our others, but this one's, very unique.
Gulbrand was just gonna hand it off to a party member, so he's gonna look around and see if anyone wants it. Other than that, I don't think he's gonna buy it.
Davos and Zatari, I imagine, would show some interest. Like, I mean, Zatari's probably like, wine's wine, yeah, fuck.
Don't have to get the top shelf for them, my friend.
Fair, though. I'm trying to remember, Zatari wasn't with you, but did the rest of you share it? Or did Gulbrand down at all?
I think we passed it around.
Yeah, okay.
Well, but Gulbrand's gulps were probably, half the fucking bottle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys recall it had a what's the word? It was very dry, but had a heat to it that sort of came after your throat was dry.
Does he see anything that's for lack of better terms, does he see anything that's like a magnum bottle or a box of wine? Does he see anything that's in bigger portions? There
are like jugs of wine. What in this culture would probably be considered table wine. Not very good quality, but you're paying for quantity. And if you show any interest, she says, "Oh yes, those would be 1 gold a bottle, and it's about 2 bottles compared to that one, but the taste is lacking by comparison."
Gulbrand shrugs and buys 2 jugs of wine.
2
gold,
jugs?
right?
Okay, yeah. Drop 2 gold.
He figures that will be enough for everybody.
Davos, being the resident bard, will kind of like, as you buy the 2, he sort of comes over. Hey, the pretty ladies often like wine as a gift. If you've got a special, I don't know, pink tiefling in your life somewhere, and trying to be not inconspicuous, but not too overt about it.
Gulbrand looks mildly confused for a moment. He says, I do not really understand. I just traded rocks for this. There's nothing impressive about it. If I wanted to win the hearts of Miss Daphne's, then I would just go and steal hers bear cubs, or perhaps lops the heads off of her greatest enemies. And since he's talking to Davos, he says, we are out of these... He uses a word in Bothy. I guess no one speaks Bothy. And, if he has it, he wants to take out, an empty potion, a healing potion.
Yeah, you have some
empty
vials,
bottle for it. Yeah, and he says, we might need more of these. But he doesn't know where to... Addressing Davos and the group, he says, I can make a fuse, but it will take me some time, and I only has enough materials for a small handfuls.
If you proceed down... I'm sorry, what was that, Birgit?
Nothing, go ahead.
If you proceed a little further past the food district and now the wine area that you've gotten into, you do see an area that seems more focused on medical supplies. They have some raw herbs, but primarily potions in bottles, vials. Healing potions are not hard to find whatsoever. If you are looking for something a little more niche, it would be a little more of a challenge, but for normal potions, you could certainly find what you're looking for.
Yeah, he's just looking for healing potions.
Okay. You go to a particular booth that has actually has the symbol of, oh my god, what is her name? It has a religious symbol, of a goddess that Davos and Bergen perhaps recognize as, a goddess of healing, a goddess of mercy and peace. And they do have quite a good selection. They have healing, greater healing, and superior healing potions. Let me find your prices on that, my dude.
So little bit of meta talk here for the group. Gulbrand has enough materials to make 3 healing potions, so we don't, if y'all want to splurge up for 1 or 2 of the bigger ones, that may be oh, the word left me. A shorter word for a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So
God, it's gonna kill me.
a potion of healing, just normal, which is 2d4 plus 2. That is 50 gold. A potion of greater healing is 150, and it's 4d4 plus 4. And a potion of superior healing is 450 for 8d4 plus 8. So that's 50 for 2d4, 150 for 4d4, and 450 for 8d4.
Give me the second one again.
Potion of greater healing, 150 gold, 4d plus 4 hit points. Yes, sir.
This meta talk, or is the shopkeep saying this in front of us?
This is meta talk. The shopkeep will describe each of the components, and after perhaps recognizing the alchemy pouch upon your belt, will go to tell you the herbs and stuff and the processes that he goes through to make them. Perhaps not in such a great detail to where he feels you can mimic them, but enough to where you, understanding the herbs themselves, get a good idea of what goes into producing them. Some of them, he says, have to not marinate, but have to settle for quite some time and have to go through a refinement process. He does have, and these are mostly shades of red. The potion of healing is sort of a dark red. Greater healing is a little brighter. Superior healing is almost a reddish gold. It's got sort of a sheen to it. But which of those, if any, interest you?
Man, we should probably all have 2 regular healing potions on us each at any given time, I'd imagine.
That's not a bad idea.
On the safe side.
If you got, so let's see, there's 6 of you if we count Valkyr.
Yeah.
So that's 100 each, so that's 600 gold to get 2 of each.
Well, you can
minus,
subtract.
Yeah, I was about to say minus 3 if you want.
Yeah, minus 3 minus 150 would be 450. You said 600. Is that
Yes, sir. So 450 would get you.
gold.
Yes, sir.
So
which would be 11 potions. I'm sorry. No.
Oh well.
9.
Alternatively, we can get Alternatively, we could get. You said 11 potions.
It's 9 potions.
9 potions.
Yeah,
okay,
for the 450.
We could get 6 regular and 1 of the middle tiers, which is 44.
Devin, did you just do math?
Yeah.
My dude. Okay, sorry. Gotta
Did you see my brain struggling? You can't see the steam coming
out
of my ears because of my headphones. That's what I figured. Like, I don't know if I could be so bold. I think Davos goes over to Tally and sticks his hand in the bag, takes the money bag out, and starts counting. He says, "Well, all right, guys, we can actually afford quite a bit of it." He goes and says the same things I just said. That's up to y'all. Gulbrand can make
that
more.
second option too.
I think that's fine.
Okay. And Bergen, Davos and Valky, God damn it, Davos and Zatari, both seem agreeable to each of you having a regular one, but having an ace in the hole if you need it.
Okay, so we're gonna get 6 regulars and 1. It's not superior; it's greater, right?
Greater, yes, sir.
Greater. 6 regular.
So if you will subtract 450 plus the cost of your wine, plus the food if you did not do that already.
I've already done the other ones.
Okay. All right. Talaband, anything that you're interested in checking out within the city?
I honestly, the scale of it's got me like, do
Yeah.
I need anything?
Well, after you say that, Davos sort of goes, "Oh, I forgot. G told us to come here to visit some house Thann, I think, in the North Ward. I think the North Ward.
That does seem to be. You've got it in the Sea Ward. It looks like on this map.
I was trying to find. Oh yeah, there it is. I was too down low.
Man,
Did you have the trinkets that she gives Zeus?
I believe we put it in the bag. And since he has the bag from pulling the coins, he will dig around. And he pulls out a pendant with a black spherical stone at the end of it. There's fine elements of gold and silver, and it's very, very beautiful piece. Very much gather that it's old, probably an heirloom of some sort, and could be quite valuable. In fact, pulling it out in the market, you do see a couple of merchants, who are sort of across the way at the clothing-oriented aspects of this, but do perk up and sort of look over, and, in fact, I will say one of them comes over. My friend, yes, it is good to see you. I'm sorry, I could not help but notice that you have such a beautifully fine piece here. Is this something you would be willing to part with?
This is to whom?
This is to Davos, but to all of you, sort of, who are holding this this pendant. He does add in, after seeing some hesitation, I could easily get you 500-600 gold for this.
This is just like a regular old pendant we have.
Yeah, if you hold it up to Sirius, he doesn't seem interested in it. You gather that it's not magical, but it was given to you to turn in for a reward, or for her inheritance, she said. So you don't know if what you're getting is more or less than what he's offering.
Well, so Gulbrand wants to make a somewhat logical leap that they just spent about that amount for potions and still have a big sack full of change. So
we'll part with it as soon as you'll part with your head, my friend. Leave us alone.
Very well, understood. And he turns and walks away.
Even Gulbrand didn't think that was...
An inheritance does instinctually sound like it would be more.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. For a couple of 100 gold is more than most commoners see ever. So we're technically loaded.
Oh yeah. You guys are lords. And
Lords.
adventuring lords. I mean,
adventurers have more money than lords a lot of the times, I feel like.
As the voice of God booms down from the sky and says the word Lord, Taliban looks at his rags again and goes,
Perhaps you should goes and talks to that sections of the markets. He points to where the clothes and shit were.
You could choose if you would like to get it wouldn't change your armor class or anything, but you could choose to get more finely presented clothing that could either conceal your armor or be worn under, if you would like.
I hate that Stefan or Brandon aren't here, because that's exactly the kind of thing either one of them would lean into. Yeah, y'all need a fucking makeover. Insert Buckhair accent that I can't do.
There's a... I don't know. So, to conceal armor would be my Tally's intent.
Okay.
Ooh.
You go over and you see a variety of fabrics and garments, and you sort of have your pick. Any kind of style that you want. Most colors. Is there something in particular that you're wanting for visual appearance, or?
Yeah, Tally would prefer something green and or black, almost traditional camo, or like reversible, who knows, with the idea of trekking the forest and or caves in mind.
You do see
Tally wants to go to an REI store.
Yeah. Basically.
Exactly.
Military surplus.
Yeah.
You do see one particular garment that seems to be a sleeves that are not billowy per se, but are loose enough to where you feel like you could wear your armor and it not be directly obvious. Done in dark greens and blacks and some gray tones, and it almost doesn't shimmer, like it doesn't catch the light, but the color seems to shift a bit as you move the fabric. And the merchant, seeing it catch your eye, says, fine piece, yes, I could part with it for the whole set for 5 gold. And he shows you the fine clasp work done, and the pants that are, again, loose enough to where they won't show the armor beneath. You'd still obviously wear your weapons above it for easy access. Maybe not perhaps you, since you tend to make your weapons more often than not. But you give the sense that they would give you concealment, not so much addition on your stealth checks or anything, but you wouldn't stand out in a crowd by any means.
Tally will smile, just a big, wide, closed-eyed smile, and telepathically say, "Well, I'll have the lot then."
The shopkeep shits themselves. And you said we'll have the lot then?
Yeah.
He like looks over his shoulder real quick, like seems to be under the impression somebody was whispering in his ear, and
Yeah, hand extended, 5 gold in it.
taken aback and takes it and jostles it a bit and says, "Pleasure doing business with you." And he prepares it and wraps it. Would you like to wear this out?
Yes.
Right. You do notice that in the clothing district there is sort of a changing area. Two particular tents that are empty with roll down fronts. You go in and don it over your armor. And as you step out, seem a little more refined, a little more in place in this city of both rags and riches.
Excellent.
Approving nod from... that's not very Gulbrand. Approving nod from Davos.
Which, speaking of, you do still
While
have...
Tally's... Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, while Tally's changing, I like to think that Gulbrand has he's like sticking his whole arm in the bag of holding, like sticking it in, taking it out, stick his hand in, taking it out, like looking through it, so to speak, like
well,
beginning like
the way the bag of holding works, you have to think of the object that you're grabbing. So you reach in, and if you
is it just like random?
You can't just like look in it. You don't just pull out random stuff, but you have to think of something and grab it. And if it's in the bag, you can pull it out. So if you reach in and think potion or potion of healing, you pull out the potion of healing. You think
so you gotta know what's in the bag too.
You, between all of you, you know what is in the bag, and you're welcome to check the chat for bag of holding.
See, that's
But
what
yeah,
I'm
but
doing.
if like a stranger just came up and snagged our bag, like you'd have to know like what was in it. So
Exactly. Yeah, they could go like rings and hope that you have a ring in there. They could say, sword and hope that you have a sword in there, but they don't know inherently, which makes stealing them, like you're saying, pretty tricky.
So Gulbrand wants to take out the necklace of question mark.
Oh yes. Okay.
And I guess he'll just mention to the group when he finally gets it out. I like to think he has to like stretch his brain a couple of times, like it takes him a couple of reach-ins before he gets out this necklace with what I guess he would know it's a giant rune. I'm guessing they just don't know what it does.
Yes, you guys.
You've seen enough of them that.
Yeah, you guys. When you found it, you know it was taken from the fire giant, if I recall correctly, and it is similar enough to the script on Zatari's tattoos that you gather it is in that same ancient giant script.
So we don't know the fox this does, and none of us is wearing it. It could be sold for more of these shiny rocks, but shrugs.
Tally will look around for an appraiser, historian, library.
There are certainly libraries and places of research within the city. There are also booths that have jewelry, and you gather they might be able to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, Tally will point on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You go out and speak with an older, sort of frazzled hair woman with small round spectacles, deep-set wrinkles, very much aged, but also refined in a way. She wears very elegant clothing. She wears very fine clothing and has a few bangles around her wrists, a few rings, a necklace that are all, again, very fine make. And, pleasure to see you. Welcome. How may I be of assistance?
Before we hand it over, I would like to stick it in Sirius's face.
Sirius, is at attention, full pointer dog style, it's definitely magical. As you're beginning to gather anything with these giant runes, well, from what Zephyros said that they were used for magic purposes. Magic. So if a rune is on it, more likely than not, it has some type of enchantment. That's why it's a necklace of question mark.
Does you have experiences with magics, with the necklaces magics into them?
Oh, yes, we do occasionally buy, sell, and trade magical artifacts. It is not uncommon, especially in my line of work. Is this piece something you are looking to sell?
Does you know what it does?
I could not tell you, unfortunately. I do not possess that particular skill set. However, there are people within the city who could inform you. Of course, unless you're concerned that it's cursed, you could always wear it for a period of time, and its abilities should make themselves known.
Well, what would you offer us for it as an unknown object?
As an unknown object, I would be willing to pay a couple hundred of gold. I cannot be certain of the enchantment. I may be taking a loss. I may be making a fortune. And likewise for you, you could come to find it is worth much more, or could be a worthless trinket.
Gulbrand tries, instead of me trying to roleplay this, tries very poorly to explain like the concept of giant runes, like the idea that it's very old and has this rune on it that no one knows what it is, and like trying to hype up its value.
As soon as you mention giants, she immediately is disinterested. No, I'm sorry. I do not feel comfortable moving an item such as this. I do not know who may come looking for it. I do not know what it does. It could be a beacon of sorts. I would not feel safe purchasing it. My apologies. If you have other goods you are looking to sell, I'd be more than happy to take a look at them. But if that is all you have to offer, then I must bid you good day.
Your losses. Maybes.
Maybes. Says it back. Maybes.
Can Atali would like to take out, I suppose I have some parchment and coal or something,
Yeah.
and just take a sketch of the rune that's on it?
You can even do a rubbing. It is
A rubbing, yeah.
it is chiseled into this small, like, stonish pendant that is around the necklace itself. And again, very petite, very little. But
Mr. Gulbrand like hunched over so Tally can use his back.
Yes.
You do manage to get a good rubbing of it. And as you're looking at it closer, you see that where the chisel had taken away rock, as soon as it gets past that surface, it's just that dim glowing color. I think this one is glowing yellow, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I would then I'll turn to the shopkeep. Where would we find someone who may know better?
Somewhere in the castle district, perhaps. We are, of course, in the castle district here, but further south, you'll find, past the Temple of Helm, past the near the Lord's Alliance, you would find some scholars, some researchers who may be able to identify it. But if this script, as you're saying, is not traditional runes, it may be difficult for them to ascertain.
Thank you for your help.
Of course.
Turn to the allies. Shall we go see the family Thann and then see what this is about?
I think so.
I want another turkey legs first. Hold on.
Devos goes and grabs another turkey leg after breakfast. And as you guys are going, Zatari keeps like, you know what? Let me try that on. And he takes it and he looks at it and he again compares it to the runes that he has, and kind of shrugs and throws it around his neck. We might just see what this does after all. And you guys head northward, leaving the castle market, and you have to stop and ask for directions, but as soon as you say House Thann, all of the guards and people of the city seem to know exactly where you're referencing, and they guide you to a very, very nice neighborhood, very tall buildings, marble and alabaster, some with columns, some with fine engraving and chiseled features. And you finally come to the where you see written out in gold letters above the door, Thann, Thann, with a large brass knocker of a dragon's head waiting on the front door.
Is a dragon on the front door?
A dragon's a dragon knocker, like it's a bronze like thing, but it's fashioned to look like a dragon's head.
That's not intimidating at all.
I'll pick it up and slam it.
You give one good knock, and you're almost surprised as you do. You don't hear a sound from the door itself, but you hear this reverberation from the top of the building make its way downward. Very unusual. You gather it's some type of enchantment, but it seems to have alerted the whole household. And this is a multi-story building. We're talking probably 4 or 5 stories. A few moments pass, and an elderly gentleman with thin white hair, balding a bit up top, wispy mustache, not seems to be a working class gentleman, but is finely dressed. As he extends his hand toward you, it's very calloused and rough, and he says to you, "Welcome to House Thann. My name is Kaldar Marsicle, head butler of this house. Please, how may I be of assistance to you? What business have you with Thann?"
Reach into the bag of holding and look for said amulet.
As you pull it out, his eyebrows perk up a bit. I see that Madame G has finally committed to her life among the priests. Very well then. Jacoby! And you see this muscular figure sort of step out from one of the doors in the hallway beyond. And as you peer into this house, you see it's exquisite. I mean, lush red carpeting, fine gold ornation, picture frame trim on the floors, golden chair rail, and you can see in the distance a crystal chandelier hanging in past an archway at the end of the hall to what seems to be some type of either dining room or ballroom. It's a little difficult to say. As he snaps and says, "Please fetch Madame G's chest from the attic." And Jacoby gives a little nod and scurries up a flight of stairs that you see with a very ornate handrail, which again is stylized as a dragon, the bottom of which is the dragon's head and goes up, and it has fine etchings in it to appear like scales. The butler, Calder, turns back to you. "While we wait for him to return, please tell me, how is Master G doing? I have not heard from her in quite some time."
She is
now
heads of the guards of Golden Fields cities.
Towns. An excellent position for her. She was always quite keen to justice, even as a little girl, would break up fights among the school children. Well, I'm quite glad to hear that, and I'm sure her parents would be too if they were still with us, but she should do well. Another couple of moments pass, and down the stairs comes Jacoby holding this broad chest. Has a family crest in the front of it, which appears to be a tiger. He sets it down and nods, and Calder dismisses him. He says, "If you have returned with this pendant, as G assumed it might one day happen, I am to give to you the entire contents of her inheritance. While G was not a member of our house, the masters of my house and hers were very good friends, and we promised we would hold on to it if she ever decided that the life of a warrior priestess was not the life for her. But please, if you would like, I can have this pendant returned to Master G."
I see no issue.
Yeah, I feel his wise nods.
Okay.
Yeah.
He takes it and bows, and after you guys pull the chest out of the house, he bids you farewell and closes the door. He also hands you a brass key. That the tiger, its mouth actually pops open, and you insert the key and give it a twist. And you find quite a few things.
Thank you.
You find 1,000 gold pieces, as well, loose, unfortunately, so it's filling off a good chunk of this chest. You also find a pair of sending stones, which is basically walkie-talkies. They operate at any distance, but only for once a day. Or once both ways. So if Gulbrand and Davos are on opposite ends of the continent, Gulbrand can send him one message a day, and Davos can send him one message in return. They appear to be faces, like they're actually carved stones that appear to be faces, and there's a hole coming from the mouth and a hole coming from the ear, sort of like a side profile shot. I imagine Davos picks one up and goes, "Ah, this is cool." And you hear the other stone in Davos's voice go, "Ah, this is cool," and sort of does a double take. And there is also a decanter of endless water, which you slosh around and you hear it has water in it. And at first you think it might be vodka or rum or some white liquor, and pop the lid off and take a swig. It's just normal water, but
Gulbrand goes.
You do that,
Like,
and it just keeps going. It is nonstop, a continuous stream of water, until you have
It's a portable baths.
perhaps a shower head. Yes, that's exactly what you guys need. Actually, that's great. And that is the contents within the chest.
Neat.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got a couple of.
Wait, can we put the gold into the bag of holding?
Yeah,
How does
can we
that work?
siphon all of
You
this?
can
Shovel
shuffle
it.
everything over.
Yeah.
Do you just leave the chest? Do you want to return it to Calder? Do you sell it in the market? I don't know.
Dolly would sell it.
Yeah.
You make your way. You make your way back down south now with a much lighter chest. And come back into the castle market, and you see a section that seems to be selling furniture and more home goods, a better homes and garden store, if you will. And as you approach, there's a burly man, thick mustache, thick eyebrows, very squinty, who greets you and upon seeing the chest assumes that you're bringing it to sale and takes a look at it. You show him the fine work in it. It's gilded in many places, and it's a beautiful piece. And of course, is the functionality of being safe. You give him the key as well, and he says, "For the pair, I will give you 100 golds. That is the most I could offer for this, without having a finer appraisal, which may increase or decrease the value."
What's the chance that Davos, role plays an appraiser who just happens to be strolling by the market and seeing this interaction go down?
He can try to make a deception check and see if that passes.
He should.
I've got his character sheet right here.
Go ahead, roll a deception check.
If I can find deception, because I never use it. His deception's not bad. Ooh.
An 18. Give me 1 second.
That was just like, no, hold on. I'm a licensed appraiser in the city of Waterdeep. And according to me, I like to think he even has like a monocle or some similar like eyeglass monocle kind of, and he inspects it.
And he goes through and he bullshits a little bit of what he knows from Z, like, yes, this is an artifact from one of the royal families here. It is an esteemed heirloom, quite an excellent antique. I believe this is the current owner would be the daughter of House Jaws and would be the current leader of the Golden Fields military forces. Why, this is an exquisite piece. I would be willing to pay you 200 gold right here and now for this very piece. And the salesman, the merchant, kind of looks a little more interested and looks closer at it, and he sees the tiger that Davos sort of pointed at, and he goes, "That is the symbol of House Shores. This could be worth quite a bit. They're deceased. This is probably an irreplaceable artifact. 250, final offer."
Oh, how serendipitous. Well, seeing as her offer has been multiplied 1.5 its time, then certainly 250 sounds like a fair price.
Damn straight.
He takes it happily and hands you the 250 gold, and seems a little like, fuck, this family's dead. Who the fucks am I going to sell it to with their family crest on it? God damn, and almost has instant buyer's remorse. But
Sell it to a collector.
Mayhaps.
Historian.
But you guys pocket some extra gold. If you'll throw that in the bank for me, my dude, plus 250, plus
Put it
the
under.
bless. All right, and
Oh, I didn't do. Hold on. We
anything?
did 1,000 gold.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Plus the endless decanter and the pair of sending stones.
Yes. So,
Anything else
wow,
within the city, my dudes?
that decanter's fucking cool. And
Yes,
Devin
Bernard.
bets it's worth a lot of fucking money, but I don't really want to sell it. It's kind of neat.
And it's good for survival-esque, purposes. You could be in the desert anytime and not have to find water.
Joke's on you guys. Y'all stole one of those from Strahd. Or maybe Strahd gave y'all one of those.
It was supposed to. He was going to give us a decanter of endless, the wine, the fine wine.
Yeah, champagne du les stomp.
Du les stomp. Yes. Oh, I'm out of drink.
Sending stones. Sorry.
Decanter of endless water and 1,000 gold plus 250 gold.
I got it all. I think now.
Fantastic. Anything else that you boys wish to do within the city?
Well, if we do, I'm going to take a brief restroom break.
If you guys
Can't think of anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Healing potions was the big one. I can't think.
So, what we'll do is we will go ahead and take a little bit of a break, and you guys are going to begin making your way toward Nightstone, and we'll say when we come back, you guys have just arrived. Right?
Can I look for stuff? I don't want to do this like. I
thought about this the other day. If you're doing it, I'll probably have to do some speed penalty thing because you're not just walking, you're taking time to, search for herbs and gather and stuff. So
then he'll wait and do it when they get to Nightstone, maybe. Like,
okay,
we'll see. We'll figure out a way that I'm not doing it all the time and just getting a bunch of stuff.
Gotcha. And we may do it to where like every trip you find at least one thing. As you're wandering, I'll roll one thing, but to gather bulk, you would have to do, a slower pace. But all right.
Take our bargains too.
Yeah, we'll take 10. See you in a second. I'll just go ahead and expedite some things. So you boys gather up your new goods, your new potions, your new items, spread them amongst yourselves, and you begin to make your way south through Waterdeep. A familiar trek for you in particular, Birkin, as you've been to the city once before, and while you didn't explore much, you do find some familiar elements to it as you're leaving. You guys make your way south along the high road for, I believe, 4 more days, excuse me. And eventually, at the distance, you begin to see the familiar sight of your city, with a few changes. As you approach Nightstone from the south, you come around the familiar bend in the path and break from the forest to the misty glen that your city thrives in. You see Nightstone Keep, once partially collapsed, now comprised of fine 2 tones of stone that gleam in the early morning light. You see a few structures that peek over the palisade, with fresh thatched roofs, and a bridge that ascends to the keep has been repaired with light, unweathered planks. Atop the towers along the walls, and patrolling the walkway around the palisade is the Nightstone Watch, who notice your approach and begin to cry out to the city, "The Lords approach!" The cranking of the broad chain echoes through the valley as the drawbridge lowers down, fully opening just as you approach the river's edge. With that, welcome to your newly repaired city, my dudes. I don't know why that soundtrack still plays in here, but all right. Whoop, there we go. I will actually play one of those. Standing just beyond the drawbridge, you see Valkyr, Daphne, Sidiri, and 285, as well as several other faces of the townsfolk, the newly freed, and the guards, who greet you warmly. Daphne dips her head slightly. "Welcome home, Lords of Nightstone, and guests," she says as she glances at Zatari and Mezzo curiously, though not unkindly. 285's mouth falls agape. "You got a dog? What's his name? Where did he come from? Is he made of plants? What does he eat?" And just immediately is bombarding you guys with questions. Did you?
Yes. Takes him in. He needs his exercise. Takes him in through the courtyards since he doesn't have a ball to give him. I don't know. I guess they don't play fetch.
Sirius, 285 is thrilled. Sirius a little more reluctant, but he guides him into the square, and you guys are getting a look around at these buildings that had holes in the roofs that were destroyed in the initial attack that are now seem like they've always been this way. A little hodgepodge, perhaps, but you do notice that in the center of the courtyard, there is still the hole where the Nightstone once stood in. And Sirius begins to sniff at it and circle the pit. And as he looks down, his hackles, they don't raise like an aggressive, but he's sensing something, as you've come to gather from seeing him do this a time or two. And he barks at the dirt and looks back at you guys.
Very dog.
What?
Oh, that's just a very dog, like, dogs, that's something a dog would do, bark at a hole. I guess Gulbrand will go, he'll look in the hole at least.
You don't see anything, it just appears to be dirt.
Sorry about these. It's, all gods.
Sidiri gives a chuckle and he rests a hand on the pommel of his sword and places the other across his chest as, "Welcome home, my lords. I hope that all repairs are to your satisfaction. The citizens worked tirelessly to restore our city to its former glory, and believe we've made a few improvements along the way." Valkyr gives a nod. "Yeah, mates. I mean, this shit is fantastic. Daphne made me promise that I'd have to show you around the town first, but honestly, our fucking keep is sick, so let's hurry up and get through this." And he turns on his heel and begins to just walk through the town square, and he points out the buildings as he says, "Morak and Graf, that grumpy grey dwarf of the newly freed, they finished the stonecutter along the cliffs not far from the dripping caves. I poked ahead in with Ron to give the caves a look. It looked relatively abandoned, minus the hundreds of bats, so I think that we're fine there. The temple has been completely repaired. New pews and priestly things have been put in the basement. It's all been renovated to house those without roofs to call home. Morak," as he points to the Nightstone Inn, "has the inn back in one piece. Probably busy serving the lunch rush right about now, but he's refurnished the rooms, made good use of the food, ale, and supplies that we brought down from Golden Fields. We mended the stables and repaired all the paddocks. Taylor's apothecary we've got back on its feet. She's planted several herbs where they destroyed in the attack." As he points over to the smaller building where you guys have visited a couple of times, but this one's a little less noteworthy, or a little less trafficked. "Tux's shop at the Lion Shield Coster is as good as new with the fresh batch of merchandise from Daggerford. All the farms have been sown as part of the Greengrass Festival a few days ago." And as he points out, while the map has wheat and potatoes and turnips and what is actually planted, they're not in that stage of life. You know, you're not going to have pumpkins until fall, etc. They still generate food, quote unquote, but Miros has finished his forge along the south wall. He's named the place Yeti Arms. That's down at the south by the bridge toward the keep. And last, but certainly not least, our bachelor pad. Come on up to the keep. And he rushes his way up there. You guys can choose to follow him immediately, or if there's anything you wanted to check out in town, you may do that.
I'm gonna keep following the tour for now.
Okay.
So we can come back out of the keep later. Gulbrand will also tag along.
Same.
So as you come up to the keep, Daphne takes over and "Welcome, my lords, please." And the main doors are opened by two of the guards that reveal a roaring fireplace. And actually, before I describe this, so on the very bottom right of your map, or along the whole right edge, you'll see the interiors of all these buildings. So at the very top, you have the temple with the new pews, the beds, the furniture, the statues. There's the Nightstone Inn that shows you its layout and what is currently in it. And then at the very bottom is the Nightstone Keep.
Oh, Gulbrand does want to have an antic really quick.
An antic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walking over the bridge, he wants to look down into the moat.
Okay.
Can he tell how deep it is?
At this part of the river, it is not quite 20 feet, maybe 10, maybe 15. It's a little difficult to tell, like, as water is. It's not, it's difficult to gauge, but you gather that it's at least 10 feet deep.
How far is it from the surface of the water to the bridge?
It varies. So the part closest to the town is only like 15 feet up the cliff face. But the motte up on the hill, the valley up on the hill, it's probably closer to 30 feet above the slanted dirt. And then once it gets back over the water, probably closer to 25-ish, 20-ish, give or take.
Okay. But you said he gathers is about 10 feet deep right there. Okay.
Yeah, you gather you could jump in, and if your head, you would probably touch the bottom, but you could be completely submerged when you
If
know.
he couldn't figure out how deep it was, he was going to jump in. But since he
3 inches of standing water. Ow.
Since he gets an idea that it's, about, gets kind of an idea, he will do it.
And you gather from, no, you're fine. You gather from the actual design of it that it's meant to be difficult to climb out of. Like, the cliffs are relatively steep. I mean, that's 30 feet and 15 feet, so it's, a 60-degree angle. It's meant to be difficult to ascend. So, all the way to the right to your rooms. Describe what you boys get to see. As the main doors open, they reveal a roaring fire in the fireplace, a large bearskin rug, and a suit of armor sentinel in the center of the room. The dining area is to your right, where you see an immense dinner table laden with cured meats, smoked cheeses, breads, and pickled vegetables. Across the hearth lies what Valkyr has been calling the war room. And across the room you see 6 chairs aligned in a circle with a firm table bearing a map upon it. Yeah, thank you. The first door to the right is the kitchen. And she opens the door and you see a well-stocked kitchen with a round-faced human woman in her mid-30s, red curly hair tied back with a bandana, rosy cheeks, and wearing white kitchen clothes speckled with faint stains. And she's working to prepare a tray of food. Seemingly having heard the guards cry out your presence, she's trying to prepare something for you to enjoy. This is Suzette, the cook, and that nervous man, she says as she points to an apprehensive and tidy gnome male, 40s, clean-shaven, well-kept. Simple brown uniform tied back with a crisp white apron. And that is Felix, your housekeeper. The door in the corner is the library, where we have the glass of disclosure set up. Also, in the study, where we have my workstation, where I tend to the day-to-day city operations and create spell scrolls when requisitioned. There is also an access ladder to the servants' quarters just above that room. And she leads you to this room? In that room, yeah. That golden thing at the top, that's the ladder. Upstairs to the the servants' quarters.
That's the mirror.
Yeah, that's the mirror along the wall. And then there's a couple of plush armchairs, and now that you're seeing it, you realize you've seen this in the background the last time that Valkyr called. And it's sort of putting everything into perspective for you. She gestures to the south stairwell. Downstairs, you will find 3 bedchambers, all exquisitely decorated by moi, with furniture Marak and his craftsmen built. There's also a storage area for dry stock. We did not assign rooms, but knowing that Lord Gulbrand and Kolkar are fairly... And she seems to turn a little more red than pink for a second. Statuesque figures. 2 of the beds are a little larger, but all of the rooms have beds big enough for 2 or 3. And she sort of gives a little wry smile as she heads up the stairs. As she begins to make her way up, Valkyr sort of like leans over to Gulbrand and whispers, by the way, about a week ago, 285 asked me what a sex dungeon was. I assumed you had mentioned something, so I installed some manacles on the bedpost. You're fucking welcome, mate.
The fuck's are manacles?
Oh, you'll see, mate. As oblivious to all this, Daphne continues up the stairs. This stairway leads upstairs to 3 more bedchambers, as well as a small balcony where you may choose to overlook your domain. Up in this area.
Oh, is this the balcony?
Yeah, on the north. That what looks like that blue color is actually a rail rather than a full wall. Of course. Above this lies the roof, where we have a regular patrol of men keeping watch. And of course, we also have guards on the wall, a few stationed or resting in the gatehouse, and at least 1 in each tower throughout the city at any given time. Downstairs in the war room, you will find letters from messengers who have returned after your initial send-out, and we expect the messenger from Orlbar will return any day now, Lord Davos. And with that, my lords, the city is yours. Merely say the word if you require anything at all. I will be in the study, if needed. And she begins to make her way back down the stairs and around the corner.
before Gulbrand starts talking to people, did you edit this yourself? There really are 2 beds that are bigger than all the other beds.
None of the buildings had any interior furniture. It was just the physical space.
Oh wow!
And it was
Wow.
the broken physical space from the initial attack. I had to Photoshop the map to be whole buildings, add a basement because there wasn't one, and then got these little. I basically played Sims for like a week and just filled in all these things.
Kudos.
Excellent job, yeah.
Yeah, and as you guys are checking them out, you notice they're all a little different. You know, they all have the same essential things to where they all have a bed and a chest and an end table and some type of cupboard or wardrobe. This one up here seems to have a workstation laid out with papers and quills. This one over here seems to have a table full of different tinkering things. Oh, you can't?
No. Do you have the mouse selected?
Oh, on GM. Yes, thank you. So this one down here has a fine suit of armor or a mannequin for it. The armor itself isn't particularly ornate or anything, but you gather you could display something here if you wanted. There's also a wash basin on the side. The room above it has tinker's tools and scraps of metal and seems to have lots of storage units. Downstairs, you'll see this room here has sort of a smattering of papers and seems to be a little more comfy than the other rooms. It's more lush, the chairs are a little more oversized. There's an ottoman that goes along with the table. This area to the right is one of the ones with the bigger beds. It has 2 deer that are taxidermied above, and on the far table is a table of greens, different herbs, but mostly vegetables. It seems to be more of for consumption. You see a few odd things, radishes, as well as carrots and tomatoes. You gather this room may have been intended for Kolkar, and the staff was not sure if he was a vegetarian or not. Southward, you find another room with a larger bed, bearskin rug on it, a table filled with several small bowls with different crushed powders, and you take a whiff, and you can, as you smell each one, most of them you can identify, like, yes, this is an herb used to make a potion more effective, or this is the base for a poison. And there's also larger pots similar to the bazaar you guys had just visited, where you could fill certain things if you were to choose to. Other than that, if you guys want, you can call dibs on rooms. There's only half the party here today, so you get first pick.
Gulbrand wants the room with the bearskin rug.
Gotcha. Oh. It's kind of intended for you.
Only fitting.
Yeah. All right. Any of the rest of you want dibs on upstairs, downstairs, certain room?
Can't say I'm too particular, to be honest.
Okay. You got any preference, Tally?
Similarly, I don't know that I have any particular preference. I'm just looking at the upper level rooms. I assume those are the ones with the regular sized beds.
All of them. All of those upstairs, and then on the lower level, the one in the corner. There are 2 that are. There it goes.
This is a regular bed. I like to think Valkyr calls this room because Kolkar's not here. Wants a room with a big old bed.
I thought about dibsing that, but I'm like, I don't want to make Stefan the asshole, but I feel like it's very fitting for character. All right. If you guys decide that you want a particular one, let me know. No biggie. There are the letters laid out on the war room table if you guys would like to receive your news.
I like to think if any NPC or character were to look in on Gulbrand tonight, he's not even in the bed. He's curled up in a corner with the bearskin rug wrapped around him like a blanket. He's just leaned up against the wall sleeping.
I would pity the servant that had to go check on your room in the middle of the night. Wake up, Gulbrand, get fucking mauled by what appears to be a bear. So you guys check out the news posted at the war room table. You guys have received your taxes for the month of Tarsak and are now 300 gold richer. This is in the Nightstone treasury, and we do need to track this separately from what you're carrying, because there's going to be a point where you guys are away for a good bit of time, and if you want to continue purchasing things in the city or having things worked on, you need to have the gold here to do it.
Stow it away.
Yeah. had that nut.
Oh.
So you start to go to the first letter, and it has a small package with it. Very fine package. Simple brown parchment paper, but exquisitely marked with very ornate markings. Very beautiful. And it's a package from Golden Jewels, which was the jeweler in Goldenfield.
Hell yeah.
The note is a fond thanks to all of you for your heroism and cunning to defend the city. And while they report that Golden Jewels did suffer some losses, a few pieces had been snatched by the raiders, but they are much better off than what they would have been without your intervention. As such, they have enclosed 3 gold rings, commissioned by Gulbrand, Valkyr, and Tally, as well as 3 more for the remaining 3 Lords of Nightstone, which you guys did not commission, but they are throwing in as a thank you.
Are those also Phoenix themed?
They are. I've actually got a picture for you.
Right.
And it's a pretty badass picture. My fucking thing would open.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm all about the Phoenix mascot. I think that's fucking dope.
So,
This whole time I've been picturing I don't know how tall he would be, but pretty tall bird riding Bergen's pauldron.
sorry, I've got to put this in chat.
Shake my head.
This is going to be in
You're
the
a bitch.
bag of holding. And bloop, bloop, bloop,
Put my hand over
each
here.
of the rings is dual cast in gold and silver, as the bottom right one in the image is. And each of them has a different type of stone on it. One of them is one of them is a ruby, one of them is an emerald, one of them is a sapphire, one of them is a diamond, one of them is topaz. There's a fine array of very distinct looks by the gemstone, but all of them have this sort of dual cast look that the bottom right one has in this image.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool.
You boys are big pimping now, and they seem to have.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say they fit.
I was about to say, is one size for
What's
Gulbrand's
thinking
fucking hands.
Goldbrand's fucking sausage fingers
I mean, Gulbrand takes whichever one's sized for his hand.
Well, just pick
He's
the
not picky
gemstone you
about-
want. And,
Yeah,
okay.
he's not picky about the color. Devin likes the topaz because that's my birthstone, but Gulbrand's not picky about the color.
It is also Goldbrand's birthstone. He picks it up. Congratulations. A letter has also arrived for Bergen from Sir Barry Naileth, who's the Vindicator of the Order of the Gauntlet. Or a Vindicator. There are many of those. And he says that he's received words of your deeds, and he's proud of your heroism in the Dripping Caves and for your accomplishments in restoring order to Nightstone, and that, as such, you have been promoted to Whitehawk, which is the next rank up from where you are, which is pretty solid. You're getting some recognition within the order.
Nice.
Enclosed is a donation from the Order to the City of Nightstone of 500 gold pieces to be used in restoration and future building efforts. A letter has also arrived for Davos, and it reports their acknowledgement of the attack on Nightstone, and that they plan to send a small dispatch of 3 knights to assist with the defense and the repair of the city. He apologizes for the small force, but reminds Davos that there are only 80 knights of the Order of the Aster, so they don't have a large force to protect all of Faerun, but they do send a dispatch, and seems to indicate that if there is an imminent threat, that he will send more troops. But that's the least he can spare for the moment. He's also reported that thanks to Father Darovic's glowing endorsement of fending off the giants at Goldenfields, these incredible deeds mark the completion of his training, and he has earned the title Knight of the Order of the Aster. And henceforth will be known as Sir Davos the Dawnbringer. He also says that additional troops may be allocated in the future if needed. Zatari also gets a letter. I'm going to skip over these since they aren't here.
I think that was super cleric of you, Bergen. That is the good things that you did, friends.
Yes. Well, I guess that was the order, really.
For reference, Bergen decided he wanted to give that 500 gold to the treasury.
Okay, and that makes sense. This is specifically, but from the letter, it sounds like it's specifically for the city. Zatari also gets a letter from his previous mentor with some schematics in it for new toys. And you guys get a letter collectively from Lady Morrowind Daggerford, the lady of the city of Daggerford, which is, for reference, similar in scale to Waterdeep. The letter expresses... The lady expresses that that she is greatly saddened to hear of the death of Lady Velrosa, but that she is uncomfortable with literal barbarians running the city. She says
Devin's glad Gulbrand can't read.
she says she will be sending an ambassador to ensure the people of Nightstone are under good care. Daphne reports that the messenger is a young half-elfen man who is waiting at the inn if any of you want to reply to that message. There's also a letter from the Lord's Helm of Waterdeep, and Daphne will explain that, like Nightstone, Waterdeep is ruled by a council, but their council is of 16 lords, all anonymous. They run their proceedings while wearing special masks that conceal their identities. As you guys open that letter, it congratulates the citizens of Nightstone on electing a council to oversee them, as it is best to leave leadership to the finer minds of governance. They do send a minor donation of 300 gold pieces, and say that as long as Nightstone remains non-hostile, that as long as Nightstone remains non-hostile, Waterdeep is pleased to enjoy a non-aggression agreement. They say future trade may be established if Nightstone provides goods of worth, and that they will be in touch.
So if I may be so bold as to step into Davos again, because just Gulbrand can't read.
He relays.
He wants to ask Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
We have a notebook here in the bag, and it says that Lady Narosa was harassed by the Lord of Waterdeep in an attempt to absorb. It says to absorb into his domain. Is this the same ruler that has harassed Daphne or has harassed Lady Narosa in the past?
Let me double check. This is in Kella's notes?
It is in Kella's notebook, yes.
I thought it was the Lord of Daggerford. Is that the one you said, or did you say Lord of Waterdeep?
I may have said Waterdeep, but I meant Daggerford.
Yes.
But it says absorb Nightstone into his domain, and you just mentioned that this was a lady of Daggerford, so Davos is looking for clarification. This is the same person.
DM did not actually research the Lord or Lady of Daggerford when he originally made those notes, so it is a lady.
But it is the same person?
It is the same person, yes.
Davos just communicates to the group that this person may be a problem in the future.
And finally noted. And they do seem to be, she does seem much more reluctant than Waterdeep to accept your lordship. So she's sending people to check you guys out. At this point, you guys, it is later afternoon, 5 or 6 o'clock. Torches are beginning to be lit, or being prepared anyway. You guys are welcome to do anything you would wish in the city, or we can go ahead and commence with the extended rest, or you guys could head out tomorrow. But I think most of you have some stuff you want to work on.
Before we do anything else, I want to ask what day it is.
Yes, sir. Let me grab my calendar.
Sorry. I want to start putting that in my notes.
We are, it is the 5th of Myrtle, Mirtul. This month is also known as the melting, just after Greengrass. It's it's officially spring at this point. Think like April,
the last
I guess.
day in Waterdeep was the
maybe
1st
March.
of Myrtle?
Last day in Waterdeep was... the 1st of Myrtle. You're correct.
Well, it was Greengrass, wasn't it? It's technically a different day, because it goes like
month, it's weird.
Holiday, month.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which is kind of a cool concept. Like, fuck our calendar. Like, I don't want to have Christmas on a fucking Monday. Let's just go ahead and, have it on a special day. Yeah. We get an extra day. It's also an interesting concept for leap years, because they're supposed to have 364, and with 12 months, they only have 360 even. So the 4 extra holidays give them 4 days to make that up.
Sorry, I wanted to know that for my notes. I'm sorry. Gulbrand will look at Tally. He'll say, I believe we're supposed to have the friends that is to meet us here. Would you like to help me go spots hers?
Certainly.
Gulbrand heads to the roof. He assumes that maybe he can look out over the roof.
Are you looking for Thara?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Particularly, he wants to ask Tally to look for Thara.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Why don't both of you roll instead of doing just Tally advantage? Because Tally's going to roll something stupid anyway.
Is it perception?
Perception check, yes, please.
Good or bad? It's
24! That's the 15. That's pretty solid. You guys take some time and look out and don't seem to notice anything. There's nobody approaching from the road. You were keen enough to check the forest as well, knowing that the Ents would probably arrive from there. You do not see her at the time, though. It has been a number of days since you guys left. That's Crypt Garden, that's the Fey Portal. It was the 21st of Tarsak, so it's been a 10-day and a half, so about 15 days. So it's been a good while, but it also took you that time to get back here, and she's traveling with things that are larger, slower than you guys, and may not arrive before you depart. But you don't see anything of note. Would anyone like to go check on anything or anyone, or are we gonna head right into the rest?
I'd like to check with Daphne,
Okay.
if she's awake at this point in the night.
Yeah.
Or whatever time it is. Whether or not she may be interested in enchanting with a rebuilt workshop. If we put more time and attention or, funds towards that.
She does say that, why yes, currently I am unable to do proper enchanting, mostly scrolls themselves, nothing beyond that. But I could, with some funds, I could perhaps improve my workshop to do such a thing. Enchanting is a talent in of itself, in that I would still need a spellcaster able to cast the spell. And the level that my workshop is completed to would determine what level I could work at. For example, now I can merely do level 1 and 2, or she says circle 1 and 2 spells, which you gather are level 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And cantrips, of course.
Well, what sort of funding would you need?
It is difficult to say. I would have to check with Morak as the leader of our construction. He could tell me how much the supplies would be. I will do my best to find out its cost before you make your exits to your next destination.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Anything?
Gulbrand also wants to talk to Daphne about some things, but I can wait a second because neither are present.
Okay.
If anyone else wants to go.
Should we deal with the person at the inn?
Gulbrand wants to do that too, if I'm being honest. If Bergen says something about it, he offers to. He tells you to come find him, and he'll go with you.
So
be the neighborly thing to do.
Yeah. So you guys go and see the messenger from, I think this one is Daggerford. Yes, from Lady Morrowind of Daggerford. It's a young half-elven man, mid-length, dirty blonde hair. Appears to be fairly, not quite mature, still in his teens. And for a half-elf, you think that's actual teens, not, advanced beyond that. What do you wish to send back to Lady Morrowind?
I guess assurance that Nightstone is in good hands, capable, I guess new hands, but capable and competent hands. And we definitely helped fix it up, and we, I guess, wish her peace and well with her domain or whatever.
Like, I think the whole time that Bergen's trying to say this stuff, Gulbrand's just standing behind him, arms crossed, like vaguely sulky, like.
Okay.
Our barbarian's a good man, damn it.
Tagline.
Speaks for yourselves.
Okay. Anything else anybody, Tally or Gulbrand, want to throw into that letter before it is sent?
Hers, you don't like barbarians.
You say that, and the messenger looks up like, no, me, I don't have any problems with barbarians. You seem very nice, and then
is the jokes. Morax. This one has at least 2 drinks on my tabs, and I'll put. Hopefully, Gulbrand's been around enough to realize that like 2 gold is enough, and he puts 2 gold on the counter.
Fantastic. You, Morak pours a couple in. Odiola, the halfling woman, who seemed to have made herself useful here at the end, runs over and goes, "Oh, thank goodness! I'm so glad you've returned. It's been ages. We really should catch up, but I've got to go. Morak's calling me," and scurries off real quick. You also see.
There's a couple things. Keep going. Gulbrand has to do a couple more things. Keep going.
You're good. You see a few other faces in the bar. I mean, it's at this point it's supper. I mean, people are eating. You see Orin over in the corner who's talking to Davos. You see Osvius, the blue-skinned tiefling, who is sitting at the table. Mezzo.
Osvius? Is that a newly freed?
Osvius, yes, yeah. He's the the bottom token and the ground floor. You also see some of the farmers. You see Holvarn in there. The tokens on this map are just where people typically are. It's not where they are all the time. So a lot of these faces you see about town are here getting supper. I had a thing.
Gulbrand wants to drop off the materials to make forest water.
Oh, as well, if after you get your drinks for the messenger and finish up with the messenger, Morak actually calls you over and says that he has 3 batches that he wants you to test. He tells you that they have been fermented for a month, so they may not be up to your typical potency, but I believe that they will do quite well. And he gives you 3 different samples, and the first one is the balance isn't there. It's sour. It's not.
It's like the first couple of little bit out of a still that's like if you're a human, it kills you. Like,
I was about to say, like, no, not quite that, but it ain't great. Oh my god, that's hysterical. The second one is a little sweeter, but it doesn't have the kick. But the third one is pretty damn close. And he tells you that this was made not long after you initially left. Once the rest of the materials came, he wanted to see which one worked out for you before he, went to producing a large batch of it.
He holds up the third one. He says, "This one's is as close as I have tasted outside of the tribes." And he'll look at assuming the party's still around, he'll look at Berg and he'll say, "Kenzie writes Holy's mans."
Is he right?
Can you write?
Oh, can I write?
Yeah, can you write?
I believe so. I don't think I can read, but I can probably write.
You can do both.
I have an intelligence of 0, so I don't know what that means.
A 10 is fine. You're not like, if you had like an 8, maybe, but
yeah. So for scale, 10 is an average person.
Mm-hmm.
So like
right.
8 is probably like a pretty stupid person. 20 is like an Olympian or Albert Einstein, or scores are kind of weird in D&D. A 10 is considered to be an average person.
All right.
You any language that you know, whether it be Giant, Infernal, Common, whatever, you know how to read and write in that language by textbook. If you want to say that you don't know how to read or write for personal reasons, then that's acceptable.
Yeah. I do that for Gulbrand because they wouldn't have written in a barbarian clan. That's why he can't, or they wouldn't have written or read things, so he can't read. But if you admit you can read, he'll ask for some paper and some quill or charcoal or whatever, and he will quietly do his best. He will verbally spit out the formula, the recipe, whatever you want to call it, for how they make forest water in the tribe, and he'll ask you to write it down on a piece of paper.
Okay, yes, I comply.
Awesome.
Teach them
when you get done, he takes 2 gold pieces out and puts them on the table, and he says, "I don't know as much about how you childrens do things, but I appreciate yours times, since that seems to be worth shinies in this tribes."
It's kind of adorable. Like Gulbrand, like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just here. These 2. Is this what I do with these? I think this is. I've seen people give them things after they do things for them. Okay, goodbyes. If you take it over to Morak, he is very grateful for it and says, "Yes, it was difficult to try to conceive of how you might do this in the high forest where I know you hail from. I will work expediently to make sure that the next batch is to your specifications."
You should have ingredients in the kitchens. I dropped them upstairs.
Yes, Valkyr brought some back with him almost a month ago now.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He doesn't carry. Yeah. He's not carrying that shit. So Thalia has her shit too, right?
Thalia. Oh, Talia.
Talia. I'm sorry.
Talia has. She has received what you purchased for her in Nightstone, or in Golden Fields, yes. Yeah, that went with Valkyr.
That was the other thing Gulbrand wanted to do, so that's okay, cool.
Okay. Bloop, bloop, bloop. If you guys do not have anything else, any other business?
He's going to get over with. He does stick his head in at some point, even if this is the next day. He sticks his head in Daphne's office, like, it's just a thing Devin does, and like opens the door, sticks his head in, but doesn't come in, and says, oh god, he had a second thing. Firstly, he says,
he enters the room and goes blank.
He says, there is a person's comings that we are expecting to seize. Wild lookings like tallies and eyes. She's might be comings with some walking trees. Do not harm them. They are hopefully friends. Oh, second thing. Oh well. Just should respond to that.
Oh, but of course. Now I will tell Sidiri to have his men keep a lookout for them, and should they arrive, we will report to you with the utmost haste. And if you are indisposed, we will welcome them with open arms. You have a second thing?
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to stuff. He looks like maybe just a little bit abashed. He says, the waters in the moats. Is it like the oceans or like the rivers?
Why, it is like the river. It is freshwater, if that is what you mean. Why do you ask?
I want to try to make it like not fresh waters.
Well, my lords, if you would like, we could segment off a part of the river and salinate it. I do not know what that would cost, per se, but we could certainly do some research. We would have to continue the flow of the river just as rivers work. Unless we were to separate it entirely from the city and reroute it, we would not be able just to make our moat, for example, saltwater. At least not through any means that I am aware. Perhaps some powerful type of magic could, but as far as my area of expertise goes, I would say segment off one part of the moat, leave one part still river, and this would allow you to salinate that section.
Thanks you for your times. He'll pull his head back out of the room, shut the door. My last question is for the DM is if, as a druid and a alchemist, if Gulbrand has any idea how to go about that. How to go about...
Octopus.
It's pretty foreign to you, as saltwater is a foreign concept. You could try to make, I'll say, either a nature or an arcana check.
Arcana sucks. We'll do nature. Kind of fitting. Gulbrand's not very smart.
You look at it and you kind of scratch your head, and you understand from what she said that you would add salt to it. And you heard the guys talking about it being salt water when you were at the ocean, but you don't understand, other than just pouring salt into the water, like how to go about it. Okay.
He sticks his head back in Daphne's office. How much is it for many bags of salts?
She goes, I will have to do some calculations. I'm unsure of how much it would take myself, but I do believe there are some that could aid us with this. Maybe perhaps in Waterdeep or Daggerford, but we will find someone who will be able to inform us thusly.
Gulbrand doesn't even say bye, just shuts the door, goes walking off, realizing that, like, if they did manage to salt the water, he has to figure out how to put fish in there, how to give something to the octopus to hunt, like food for the octopus, and like Gulbrand just go walking off doing things like in his own head about like how the fuck am I gonna feed this octopus?
Something occurs. Roll a. Oh god. Oh no. Something occurs to you, and you remember the way Zephyros talked about the orb. That there are hundreds of gallons of salt water in here. That there are fish and kelp and marine life, and a whole ecosystem contained within this orb. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Gulbrand's wise. He can extrapolate that. He won't go back and talk to anybody, but he'll contemplate that for the night.
Okay. If you boys sleep the day, or end your day, we'll go ahead and dip into the extended rest. I already know what most of you are doing. And this is just throughout the week. It's not like one set time or anything like that. But you do have a couple things you can pick.
I was about to say, how long are you taking this extended rest to be?
It is a 10-day. It is a full D&D week.
Okay.
So you guys are now, you can choose to bond with an animal or an NPC. That's like it's like a passive thing, like just who you hang out with when you're not, working on something. Zatari is going to work on a construct. Davos is jamming with Mezzo and Orin in the inn and around town and coming up with songs and just seemingly getting back in the rhythm. Valkyr is just up to general debauchery and off on hiatus, we'll say, for a week. God, how fitting. Gulbrand, did you want to do herbalism or prescience?
So, well, it depends on how long everything takes. He definitely wants to try to make the 3 healing potions we discussed. That's his biggest, most pressing.
And the 2 poisons? Because you can make 5 over the week.
Well, let's start with the 3 and see how long that takes, because otherwise he might try to bond with the Phoenix.
Well, you can do one of the bonding for free. You can bond with a person or the Phoenix anytime. That's like your passive stuff. But this is your active thing. So this won't forsake doing that.
I see.
So roll an animal handling check for the Phoenix, and then roll your checks for the 5 potions for herbalism.
What do you want me to roll for that? I know they get to add wisdom. I can't remember off the top of my head. Animal handling.
I think you can use nature check if you would like. I'm actually going to look in the strongholds thing. Let me look. Are you already baseline bonded? You are not bonded with the Phoenix yet.
No, didn't roll well either.
You try to work with her, but she's apprehensive. You're still colossal and heavy-handed and don't quite, While Sirius likes a good firm pat, the Phoenix, even in this adolescent form where it's, it's still very lithe and thin and, it's a bird. It's not, So no luck there. Go ahead and roll 3 nature checks.
13 for the first one, 9 for the second one, and 14 for the third one.
If these are for the healing potions, you successfully make 2.
Okay.
All of your ingredients are used. Since you have 2 more slots, you can choose to do 2 more. You can try to make another healing potion and see if you make it, or you can go right to the poisons. But you have to have the ingredients to do so.
I will go ahead. Hold on. I have them written down, so it won't take me long to look.
Take a second. While you're doing that, Bergen, I know that you want to build a shrine to Helm.
I don't have enough for another healing potion.
Okay. Go ahead and roll 2 more nature checks.
We'll see. Let Bergen go ahead.
Okay. Bergen, you've decided that you want to build a shrine to Helm. Is there any particular place you want to do it? Any particular materials or imagery or anything that you want to seek out in your construction of it?
Not in particular. I guess wherever it's most convenient as far as placing, where it's not too crowded or crowding anything.
Okay.
And I suppose as far as like construction material, nothing like crazy fancy, but not just like drab either.
No, yeah. As you start to you begin by gathering some stones and some broader branches and positioning some things. And as Morak sees this, he and Graf, the Grey Dwarf of the newly freed, and Morak being the innkeeper, of course, they see you doing this and they leave for a bit. And when they come back, they're bearing several fine cut stones from the stonecutter. They're fine posts that have been hewn and are properly squared off, and they set them down and say, for your gods, this is an admirable thing. If you require anything else of us, please let us know. And
many thanks.
Yeah. So you construct a very fine, simple, but fine altar of sorts. It's sort of is right against the palisade wall, or not right against, but in a way sort of corner where you can tuck to. You're not really sure how prevalent the worship of Helm is in the city, but you feel that there is a presence as you're working on this. Toward the end of the week, Graf actually comes back, and he has a piece of stone that is rough hewn, had been rough hewn and then chiseled into the shape of a helm, a helmet. And offers it to you as a marker so people may know who protects these walls.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Graf.
He's and kind of mumbers off. You gather that he did it more of he feels obligated to help you rather than like driven to, but it is still it's a nice gesture nonetheless. The bastard with the heart of gold. Maybe you're picking up some vibes. Tally, did you decide if you want to do the bow or the arrows?
I did have a homebrew idea. I can spring it on you now. Doesn't have to be at this moment. It'd be pretty brief to talk about, but also, like, if it isn't this, then I also have an alternative thing in mind that is unrelated to any of the equipment that I could do with the wood.
Okay.
I was thinking about perhaps like an
this.
armor upgrade that is like, okay, so in form, it would be adding the wood to any leather or chainmail that I already have, perhaps on like one side of me, or in a way that essentially the bonus would equal to, and I'm thinking 3 extended rests for construction, just like the bow.
Okay.
But my intent would be +1 AC while hiding, and only in the time that I'm hiding.
Okay, that's no, yeah, I think that would be workable for the same time frame, like you're saying, the 3 extended rest. Okay. Yeah, I would allow that.
Sure. Then I would begin construction of that, thinking of it like physically, or how that would, reasonably work is like hiding generally, you're making yourself slight. So I'd imagine it being like an asymmetrical knee pad, shoulder pad, arm guard, that sort of thing. Where
and I'm
while
kind of
hiding,
getting...
or something you could, scrunch down and get behind.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a woodland ghillie suit, like made of different pieces of bark and stuff, and meant to. You're typically hiding in trees or in shrubbery, so elements of wood, and with the green and the dark black fabric that you're sort of already wearing over your armor, you're definitely getting. You definitely gather that you can make this work and begin making additions to that particular. I assume to that, or like directly over the armor itself.
It could be either. Frankly, both work.
We'll say it's on the armor, but you thematically have it. You get the bonus regardless of what you're wearing. Okay.
At some point during the extended rest, Gulbrand looks at Taliban and says, "You should call Safine's and sees what she thinks about their Snappy's new outfits." Just in passing.
You guys ribbing each other. I love it.
Yeah. You should go upstairs and show Daphne your new bedroom, my friend.
I thought my bedroom was downstairs.
Oh, is it downstairs?
Whatever.
Sorry, I didn't get the formal tour.
All right. Gulbrand, go ahead and make 2 more checks for me. Oh, and Bergen and Tally, you can choose to bond with someone or a pet if you would like.
Phoenix, please, Ember.
Yeah.
Love me.
Roll an animal handling check, Devin.
So straight up, you can say no. Won't be mad.
Okay.
Can Gulbrand use the rest of his time? Yeah, no.
Go ahead. No, I'm fucking with you.
Can Gulbrand use the rest of his time? He technically knows Mold Earth.
Yeah.
Can take Mold Earth. Can he build walls? Can you see my pings?
Let me zoom out a bit. Go ahead.
So, long story short, he wants to try to build walls where I'm pinging.
So here and where else?
Over here. So he's trying to, instead of pinging, he's trying to wall off a section of the moat to be drained so that he can bust the orb into that section of the moat.
Okay. You're doing just the section between the city and the keep?
Yeah, his ideas are like, I guess he doesn't know it's giant. He wants to do it wherever is easiest, because he doesn't know that it's a giant octopus. So wherever he thinks is easiest, he wants to section off a portion, drain it, and bust the orb. Can he do that in the amount of time?
I would say he could start it. Because Mold Earth is, remember, it's not quite earthbending like I originally thought for Moon, and it's like when you use one, if you use another one, the initial thing kind of crumbles away. While
technically has to be loose earth too.
Yeah. So you could work on it. instead of doing your other 2 potions. Is that what you're wanting?
Yeah, he wants to begin the process of trying to set up a space for the octopus in the ocean.
I will say you could get a half credit, like a half extended rest, and I will say it'll take you at least 2, maybe 3. Let me look at it, and I'll think about it. But I will add that to your thing.
He I don't know. He figures he can work on the. Can he only work on potions during extended rest?
And this is where it gets a little tricky. You could probably do 1 over a long rest.
Okay. He's not as worried about the poison potions. Those are a little. He doesn't. Barbarians think poisons are cowardly, so he's gonna do that. He's gonna do that. So Gulbrand spends, I imagine, a couple of days swimming around in the moat.
Yeah, you sort of settle up a little. You go back and forth from in the moat itself to on a small ledge you've made on the keep side of it, and essentially earthbending and like pulling loose dirt from areas and trying to work with the dirt that's on the bottom of the river itself to amass it. And some of you may see the earth actually, in some places, begin to rise up from beneath, more on the slants, making the startings of a wall. Not quite blocking any section off yet, but he's begun to make a wall, we'll say on this side over here, to segment off the area of water between the keep and the town.
The only other thing he might want to do is go find Riker, but can wait. I've been doing lots of stuff, been busy.
As you guys rest after the first night, a couple of things happen. You wake up the next morning and you're greeted by Daphne, Sidiri, and Marak, who are at the breakfast table, and they're discussing their options for the next construction project. Sidiri wants to build a barracks. He says that he has a lot of green troops that need formal training, especially if you guys plan to do more larger scale combat like what happened with the orcs. He says it'll take 800 gold, or normally it takes 800 gold and a 10-day. Because you have built a stonecutter, it's 720 gold and 9 days, so you've saved 10% from the stonecutter. Marak believes the next best move is to build a lumber mill. So this is to build a mill on the southern edge of the southern woods, not the Waterdeep forest where is protected land, but on the southern side. And that will allow for you guys to make 2 things, or work on 2 projects simultaneously. So you can build, if you have the lumber mill, you can build a barracks and you can work on Daphne's study. You can do 2 projects at the same time. Still costs the full, it does give a discount, but it still costs money to do both, but the time is decreased that way. That takes 500 gold 450 gold and 9 days. And those are the 2 that seem the most urgent. Daphne believes that you should allocate funds to that before worrying about her. But again, says that it's entirely y'all's choice.
It's a tough choice.
Does Gulbrand know that Tally asked her? Does Gulbrand understand that putting money towards whatever she wants would maybe go would
get
what's
some
the word?
favor?
Would excavate the
Exacerbate.
The enchanting thing that Talibin's after.
You're saying, does Gulbrand know if he has the enchanting thing done that it'll make Tally's project easier? Is that, I'm not quite sure what you're.
Does Gulbrand know that Tally had that conversation with Daphne?
Yeah, I would have told you about it.
I think it was public,
Okay.
You could choose to do both. You would just have to choose whichever one you would want done first.
First, yeah.
So why don't y'all give it a vote? Barracks, lumber mill, or both? You have enough gold for both, but
Sleuth fires.
Yeah. Well, TLDR.
Gulbrand throws a powder in the the hearth that you mentioned in the middle of it.
I love it.
Turns blue.
Oh shit. Fucking love it.
Gets up from the dinner table, walks over, throws powder in the fire.
Blue powder.
Fires. Blue powder. Sure.
All right. So Gulbrand, you threw. What are you doing? What's your vote?
Takes one of the little wooden totems you mentioned before, throws it in the fire, and says, "I we have already built the stonecutters. I think perhaps we should get the woodcutters. Is that what you said?
The lumber mill or the barracks are the two that are on the
Perhaps
table.
we should get the lumber mills going next, so that all of our infrastructures is in place.
Surprising thing for a barbarian living in a tent to say.
He's wise. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. Bergen, what say you, my dude?
Man, I could really go either way. Like, they're both super important. It would definitely be nice to be building two things at once. We're ultimately going to need both. I guess if we had to pick one before the other, I guess the lumber mill.
Okay. Tally, what say you? And keep in mind there's two other... Okay.
With the help of...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, with the help of the allies we've met over time, perhaps we can forgo the barracks for a bit.
Okay. So, you go ahead and take the minus 500 gold from... You can do it from either the treasury or your personal gold. If you want to go ahead and have them... well, Morak will say, if we were done with it before the 9 days... If we were done with it at the 9-day mark and you have not returned yet, would you like us to work on the barracks next, or would you like us to wait until you return?
My gut says just start on it immediately.
Okay. So go ahead and subtract...
should have like 6, 7, 800 gold in it. Is that enough for them to do both? Like, even if we're not there?
Both of them is 1,300. Yeah, 1,300. So you need at least that much to do those two. So you can take 500 gold from the treasury and put it, from the bag and put it in the treasury.
From our bag, but is it he says to the group, is it amendables that we contribute some golds to this infrastructures?
Absolutely.
Well,
I think whatever we need.
Sorry, I can't think of how a dumb person would say infrastructure.
No, you're fine.
Bigger tent.
Y'all need roads and shit, right?
There you go. How much does... So you said 800?
1,300 total. Yeah.
So minus 500 gold from the thing?
Yeah, minus 500 from the inventory, minus 1,300 from your Nightstone savings account? I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah, the treasury.
the Nightstone treasury, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
How much do we need to pay the...
Well, Daphne does mention the guard's pay is still separate from this amount. It is deducted before you receive your taxes, so we can pay the men through the month.
Good stuff.
Okay. So you guys have both of those. You know both of those are in the works. Daphne does also tell you that if you would like, you're welcome to visit any of the people in town who provide service, the artisans. You can visit Taylor at the apothecary, who can make you a number of potions. You can visit Daphne, and if she has the right spellcaster, she can make some spell scrolls. You can go get armor or weapons made at half cost at the blacksmith where Miros is, but it does take some time to produce, obviously. And Tux the merchant sells basic adventuring gear. And I'm going to actually put a link into chat because...
that's a lot of shit.
Yeah, it do be a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit. Pittons, climbing gear, like, God. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's less like weapons and armor and more like things that you would use in an actual
ball
adventure.
Bearings.
Yeah, ball bearings. I mean, even... let me go to the thing. Womp, womp, womp.
Oil, lanterns, 2 different kinds of lanterns, which is the silly thing to me.
Yeah.
Hooded lanterns and non-hooded lanterns, like...
Beam of light or like area light? I'm trying to find where... Adventuring gear, there it is.
Does Gulbrand have time to go look for Riker?
You do.
I see.
You find Riker in the graveyard, and
wow, not edgy at all, Riker.
Well, you remember that he was the one who dug most of these graves, and the graveyard is much larger than it was when you left.
But so you said 24 people died in the attack on Nightstone, or
roughly, yeah, that's about right. And like this entire row of graves at the top was not there.
24, so 24.
That entire row at the top was not there. There was a row added down here, I believe. There were quite a few that were put in. But you find Riker in the graveyard, and he sees you approaching. And immediately he grabs at his belt, and you see 2 knuckles, we'll call them, made from the antlers that you gave him.
Yeah.
This is not
Seen
a
the roll
weapon.
you made earlier. I'm familiar with the weapons.
Okay, good. I didn't want to like make it too obvious, but I'll put this in chat since it's not super important. This is the shape of the antler. It's not necessarily the weapon itself, but it gives you an idea of what it looks like. The 2 that are closer to, the 2 that are farther out extend beyond his fist, and the 2 that are in is where he sort of grips it. And it's just meant to be like a hook-clawed kind of weapon. And he tells you, I imagine that you have come to honor your blood testing.
Not quite.
He stops like wrapping these bands around his hand and looks up.
I have found myself with heavier burdens. If you would like to put your weapons back on your belts and comes with me, we could enjoy an exercise.
Riker looks a little perplexed and he says, I would like to see if you are worthy to lead this tribe. If your exercise would prove your worth as such, perhaps. But if not, a blood testing we shall have. What, pray tell, is this exercise you speak of?
He stumbles over the term captain of the guard and says,
Sadiri?
He uses the word he uses the term captain of the guard.
Yeah.
He says, is overburdened with green recruits. They could use extra trainings and exercises. If you would prefers or would likes to stand backs to backs with me, I think that we could train these green recruits, they calls them.
Riker nods his head. I have been assisting with the guard, as well as River from the newly freed. You are right to believe that they are under my standards. I would do such a thing, and we shall see how you handle yourself on the field of battle.
And what he kind of wants to explain if they begin to move towards the barracks is like, no weapons. They leave their weapons in their, no weapons. They want to leave their weapons in their home.
Okay.
It's he and him versus all of the green recruits. And
okay.
They just want to stand back to back and be barbarians. And
so we'll expedite this a bit. I'm only a little disappointed that I made a custom stat block for this, and you're gonna have him fight guards, you piece of shit. But it's okay. I'm not bitter.
He does want to fight him, but he's beginning to realize that's not as important.
That's fair. Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna get I made a whole character sheet for him and picked his class features and everything.
Oh,
it's fine. No, you're fine.
Sounds like you would have whooped my ass.
Well, he's not a high as level as you, but he is a character for intensive purposes. Okay, yeah, he goes and follows you. After you tell Sadiri, he laughs his ass off for a second. He's like, I would very much like to see my men go up against you two. Yes, come on in. And by the windmill on the south end of town, there's a bit of a clearing. Remember, these are 10-foot squares, so it's a little more space than what it appears. He has his men sort of scattered about. All of them are bare-fisted as well. Some of them have, shields, and they all have their armor on. Devin, go ahead and make... The first one, seems a little cocky, and he rushes up.
Rage before this starts?
Yes. You and Riker both rage.
Okay.
Which is a... anyway, so the first one rushes up, and he seems a little cocky, like he's probably one of the finer soldiers, and he comes back to swing it in with a haymaker, and you raise your fist to get him, but before you even do, he's on his ass, and Riker has jabbed him as he ran up on you. He gives you a wink and he goes, "Bears are slower than tigers, my friend." The next one rushes up, this on the further side, but again, towards you.
Instead of, like, hitting him, can Gulbrand just, like, dump him on his ass? Like, Soto Agari, I guess you don't have to.
Okay, roll a, we'll call it a grapple check. So roll athletics. Yes, sir.
Okay. He gets advantage because he's raging.
Okay, give me 1 second. Bloop. He gets advantage. Athletics 16. Okay. You as he comes up, you go swing and you make it obvious enough to where he like starts to dip down before you swipe his ankle and he just falls flat on his side. As a third one rushes up. Roll a dexterity check. We're gonna see if you get to this one before Riker.
Gross.
Nope.
I'm slow and old.
Even if he rolls a 1, he ties with you.
Yeah.
He rolled a 1! Holy shit! You guys simultaneously just lay out this particularly unfortunate guy.
High and low.
So much so to where like Sidiri's like, "Oh, easy there, boys. Hold something back." This goes on for about 20 minutes. Various guards rushing you, even the few that you knock down, trying to get on their feet and go in for a few blows. And they get in a couple, nothing, a few solid hits, nothing extravagant or particularly painful for either of you, especially with the rage going. But you boys do lay some whooping on the 20 or so guards that are not on duty at the moment. The rest of whom who are on top of the towers around the town are looking very nervously at the pit, like, really don't hope this becomes a regular thing.
Good for us, good for the greenhorns.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Greenhorns.
The
right.
FNGs, the military calls them.
Yeah.
Fucking new guys.
It's pretty funny. That is not at all how I expected that encounter to go, but I'm not mad about it. As Riker is sweating, I mean, you guys have worked up. You were going at it. Y'all are kind of exhausted. Riker looks to you and says, "I know what you are, Starkeeper. In my tribe, Starkeepers are considered little better than addicts, too afraid to live in the present, without their heads buried in what may come. You have proven that you are more capable than I originally believed. Until you prove yourself unworthy, I will follow you as First Claw."
Oh, if he's done, Gulbrand will say, "My offer still stands. If you wish to go seek your tribes." He'll fill him in on what Mira, the elk tribe woman.
Myra, I think, but yeah.
Long story short, he gives him a lowdown on the fact that fire giants are like raiding stands. He'll say, "Your tribes could be in dangers. I will not hold grudges if you goes to seeks them out, but I would ask as first clause that you gives warnings to the blue bears." And he'll take out, because I'm not using them, he has an axe in his belt, because that's what barbarians get to have.
The hand axe?
Made of obsidian. He'll hand it to him. He'll say, gives them this. Tells them Gulbrand sends his regards and wishes simply to keep the tribe safe. He is shackled at the moment.
And where are your people this year? This season?
It's spring?
Yeah. And
They're really far north, right? Devin looked at this.
No,
Devin doesn't remember.
it's the south.
Tells him where they are.
It's the southeastern part of the High Forest, I think, or on the outskirts of it. Not terribly far from where you are. And if you tell him that, he gives a nod and says that he will. I was planning on helping break in some of the troops, but you've proven yourself capable. You can manage to hone them a bit before I return. And I do intend to return. And with that, he'll reach out an arm.
So Gulbrand does the thing like he doesn't grab his hand, he grabs his forearm.
Yeah, fucking.
Yeah, they do that thing.
There's that brief moment in Full Metal Alchemist where Armstrong and the guys. So y'all have a bro moment, and Sidiri, who participated, by the way, he got in a hit. Before you guys knocked him on his ass, and none of these people are like on death's door. I didn't like kick their asses to the point, it was more of gonna pop you a few times and bruise you up a bit. We'll actually say Sidiri and his second in command got in a few hits, 3, maybe 4, but fantastic. He was gonna go next time you guys came back, which is funny, but you just expedited the timeline. And that might change some things. We're going to see how that pans out.
Gulbrand really felt like if this man beat his ass and put him in not the hospital, but, Gulbrand couldn't afford that. He's old.
Oh. All right, Riker. Congratulations. You've intimidated a Goliath. That is no easy feat. 285, who's been watching all this, is going absolutely apeshit, by the way. He is just, like, here for it. Like, Riker's been... He's told you before that Riker's a bit of a dick. And, like... but he's... And Sirius is with him. You gather that they've been not inseparable, but either wherever Sirius goes, 285 tends to tail behind. Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, that's so cool! I've seen Riker fight with the guards and sparring and stuff, but I've never seen anything like that. That was really cool." And now that you're looking at him, 285 seems healthier. When you freed him a little over a month ago, he was had lived a life in shackles, but he's a little fuller, a little less ruddy faced, and
he's also like what, 9, 8?
As you're looking at him, he looks a little older. He looks closer to 10. Like he's filling out, and he's not the thin little frame that he was before. You're gathering he's still got that kind of grayish green skin that is pretty common for half orcs and is ruddy, but not he looks better. And he goes.
I've done a good job of describing before. I'm sorry that
Gulbrand
is pretty old. Like he's mid 50s or later. Yeah. So the party would be able to tell that he's definitely not a young man. Like I feel like that he's done a lot of stuff that kind of belays that, but he's definitely not young. He also will take the time, if he has the time at all, to teach 285 the very basics of whatever combat system he was using to fight without his hands. The grappling and throwing and strikes.
Yeah, okay. You're pushing your time stuff because you've got a lot of stuff you're doing, but I'll say that he like you show him a couple of things and he like does them. Doesn't get a benefit of it from right now, but you've given him something to practice. He does tell you in this time, like, the newly freed are settling in pretty well. Do you wanna hear what everyone's up to, or do you care? Do you care?
I'm not going to lie to you and tells you that I cares that much, but the others might. And he'll take 285 to like wherever we all sit down to have dinner.
Yeah, you take him to the keep for dinner, and you gather from the way the cook and the housekeeper treat him that he's been up here quite a bit. That he was posted to keep watch on the mirror quite a few times, so he's not a stranger in the castle by any means. Well, he tells you, Inwis, the little drow girl with the white hair, she's apprenticing with Taylor at the apothecary. And Sylvie, the half-elven woman, or the elven woman, she's helping Tux at the Lion Shield Coster. And Wilksif helps in the farms with Godric, and Akara and Kava, of course, help at the temple, and they've been healing up people since that big fight with the orcs. And Branrak, the drow boy, he's taken up archery with the rangers, and he's gone most days. But there's also Odiola, who's been helping Marak at the inn, and Graf's working for Graf, helping with construction and running the stonecutter, and Osvius...
I'm really sorry, you just said Graf is working for Graf.
Graf has been working for Marak, helping him with construction, and Graf is running the stonecutter now. Osvius I haven't seen him too much, but he's always there for dinner time. And River and Riker, they both were working with the guards, and Riker he's pretty strong. He's fought a lot of the guards and put them on their butts before. Not like what you guys did today, but and then River he's kind of bored with it. He doesn't like guard duty. He kind of hangs around Miro Selbrins a lot though. The Yeti dude, he's really nice too. He's shown me a couple of things. I'm no good with fire and stuff, but it looks cool.
Do you know how many days ago it was that the guards left to go on the missions?
To the dig site?
Yeah.
If you ask this, they should have arrived the day after you arrived at Nightstone. Because you guys were at the dig site, told them to go, and they left the next morning. So as long as it took you to get here, it took them just about as much time to get up.
To get there.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I'm too young to help with the guards or the rangers or building or stuff like that. So mostly I'm stuck on mirror duty or I play messenger boy for Daphne, and I don't like to sleep. I don't like to sleep.
Practice while you were on mirrors duties.
Practice. Oh, he does. Yes, sir, and gives like a little stilted bow.
Don't do that.
He blushes a little bit. I don't stay much at the inn or the keep though. I mean, Daphne lets me come up here. Of course, they don't make me stay out, but I like to spend time in the stables. I've been sleeping in the hayloft. It's kind of cool, and it's like a little clubhouse, and just kid stuff.
Sounds like a good place for used elements.
I wouldn't mind.
Might comes in thorns use. The stone walls are a little stuffies.
You say that to 285?
He says it. I mean, he's kind of talking to Taliban in 285, but
Mm-hmm.
he's not entirely comfortable staying in a keep. He might have slept there last night, but
285 will be like, oh, are you guys gonna go camping? I'll come. I love to camp. It'll be like when we first met in the woods, because we'll be in the woods. Just excited, here for it.
Mm-hmm.
if this kid dies, I will kill you. I will come to your house every night.
I love how that's where your mind went. Like, I know I said, okay, so full disclosure, I did send Devin a thing a couple of weeks ago. Like, it was a snap of me going like this. And like when you think of new ways to traumatize your friends in D&D. So that's it. I'm not going to say, anything, but you're barking up the wrong tree. I'll give you that. Random bear attack in the woods tonight. There are a couple other things that happen before you guys leave. At some point, Osvius, the blue-skinned tiefling boy that 285 had mentioned, isn't ever really around except for dinner. Comes to you guys at the keep and excuse me, I wish to make myself useful for the lords. Might I have an audience with you?
Certainly.
I possess skills, talents from my bloodline that I think would be very useful in acquiring more information. Something I'm sure would be very useful. And he picks up an apple off the kitchen table, and he takes a bite. And his arm shimmers a bit and becomes translucent, and it creeps up his shoulder to his torso before he's almost entirely undistinguishable. The apple as well, and has gone completely invisible. Like if you look and you can see like a weird almost shimmer where he's supposed to be, but essentially is invisible. And you hear him say, "I have done some time honing my abilities. In fact, the reason I was caught is because I used them to cheat is such a strong word, but I used it to increase my odds during a certain gambling event in Daggerford." And he begins to fade back into existence. "If you would like, I could be a spy for you. I could either stay around here and listen to what these folks have to say, keep an eye on anyone you like while you are gone, or you could send me out into the world if you wish to acquire some information elsewhere. I can tell you here that the citizens are quite happy with you. They believe that you've done wonderful service for them. Some of them are not as thrilled with certain members of the newly freed. Riker's kind of, como se dice, a dick. And Odiola is talkative. 285 is all over the place. He needs something to keep him busy. He's hyperactive. Would this be agreeable to you, lords? Me being your spy, being your eyes and ears when you cannot be present.
I'm gonna jump back to Davos for a second. It could be a good idea to send him to Daggerford and see what he could figure out.
Yes.
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 Tally, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree as well.
Okay. Zatari might, and you've noticed that people have been very apprehensive of Zatari. This is a guy who did not save their town, who did not free them from the newly freed, or freed them from the slavers and from the dripping caves. And
surely we told them, though, that we knighted him as a lord.
They know that, but there's not the same admiration or respect that you guys have sort of accrued very rapidly. They're polite and do what they're told and etc. But they're a little more apprehensive. Tari says that some of these people seem kind of shifty, and he doesn't. He says that it might be worth keeping an eye around, but he's more than happy to go with whatever the group thinks is best.
Do you have certain peoples in mind that you do not trust?
And he kind of shrugs and like, I just got here yesterday, man. I don't know anybody here. This isn't my. Maybe it's because I'm used to being a bit of a cynic, but I don't know. In a town with this many people, somebody's got to be out for their own self-interest,
Gulbrand really like that. Perhaps he is right. I am not. What is the word used? Children's use. I am not versed in espionage. I believe it should be up to the rest of you how to use this once. And he gestures to. Can't remember his name. Sorry.
Osvius.
Osvius.
He as you gesture toward him. The name is Osvius. Osvius Obscurus. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Well,
Obscurus.
remake. Yeah.
Devin can remember. Obscurus.
Davos will say that he thinks it would be better to send him to Daggerford. He will hold to his guns there. So, at the moment...
Agree.
Okay, so that's... Right now it's still 3-2. I think Valkyr hasn't voted. Valkyr's probably, I would say, personality-wise, more suspicious of Daggerford than the townsfolk. So unless anybody swaps, I think that's it.
What do you think's holy man's? Joey, I almost said Joey. Gulbrand will say to Bergen.
Oh yeah, I already said yes.
Yeah, he's on this end. All right, so he dips his head and Lady Morin Daggerford. She is a high-level target. I will do what I can.
We don't want you to harm hers.
No, of course not. I am no assassin, my friend. I will keep an ear out. And
Your primary job is to get back to us safely with informations.
Trust me, I am nothing if not discreet. Most of the time, he says with a shrug and gives a little, not a bow, but a nod and begins to leave unless any of you stop him.
Gulbrand thumps his head down on the table and goes, I hate this lord shits.
Some of it's a little tedious, I'm sorry. Other than that, the rest of your extended rest goes well. On the last day of your extended rest, the excavation team returns. 10 guards, And it is not quite what you expected. They do not have in tow the large fragment of the Vodendod. They carry with them smaller pieces that they could carry on their arms. They do not even seem to have a cart. And they tell you that they had arrived and were working at the location for 4 days. And on the 5th day, the several fire giants, 6, 7 of them, came and destroyed their cart, captured most of the resources they had collected, and even had killed 2 of the guards in their as they were trying to flee. They pass off what they were able to collect to to Zatari, who, since he's not here, I'll say he looks guilty. He looks ashamed. He looks, he's a little sick to his stomach, embarrassed even. He doesn't say anything. He kind of seems to be at a loss for words, and Daphne takes their names, the 2 gentlemen, or the 2 soldiers who died, and says, we will ensure that their families are well taken care of. Thank you for your service, and please go get a long rest. You are not expected to be on guard's duty for another week at least, so please take all the time you need to recoup and recover from your trials. She does turn to you, gentlemen. I understand that you may be heading out into the world. If you do, you should know that we have restocked our stables, finding many of the horses that were initially in this town that fled during the attack, and purchasing a few more. We do have 6 riding horses that you are welcome to take, and we will still have 6 draft horses here to do with, to work the land and make deliveries with the cart and such. Yeah, just so you know. And we're probably going to do one more thing. Before we do, I want you guys to go ahead and try to figure out where you're headed next. After you guys leave Nightstone, I mean.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and ask. Did we accomplish all of the side quests for all of the NPCs in Golden Fields?
Yes, you did. The only one that you have not completely finished is the Bard's quest, but those are at several towns throughout Faerun. You gather that you'll sort of get them in your travels, but you have done all the others.
In which case, can I see the overlay map?
Absolutely, I was just about to move you over. Bloop. Alright, so you guys, once again, are at Nightstone. I will delete that green marker, because that is a quest marker. If you look at the very top of the map, almost...
Yeah, it's way up there.
You will see the green arrow by Mirabar. That is the Valley of Kedrun that both Old Gnawbone and Harshnag had indicated was the beginning of your next... You would have to get there to get to the Eye of the Allfather, which is the temple where the Oracle of the Giant God Anam, resides in. And Harshnag is waiting for you somewhere northeast of the city.
And he'll wait till the end of the summer, correct? Meaning we have roughly a month and a half.
So right now, it is the 16th of Myrtle. I will say he will wait to the end of Kythorn, because you guys saw him on the last day of Tarsak, and he said he would wait for 2 months. So you have some time, but you gather it's going to take you some time to get there, and you would recall that you still need to find payment for the Oracle. He told you that you would have to present a fragment of Astoria, an ancient giant artifact.
Yeah, okay. DM question.
Yes, sir.
Gulbrand knows a little bit about this. Does he know if they have to go to Stone Stand to find this?
He knows there is one at Stone Stand.
He knows there is one at Stone Stand, so he doesn't know if there's any at the other mounts.
You would probably know through lore that is what the stands largely commemorate them. And while there are many people buried at your stand, many of them are from the original attack with Uthgard trying to kill the giants and fend them off from the land. Something your people have taken great pride in, that Uthgar was the one who made it a human's world and not a giant's world.
Yeah. So
this is, of course, thousands of years after the giants and the dragons had their big fight.
Yeah. I would say this in character if I knew the exact he wants to, maybe at dinner one day or whenever we're all discussing these kind of heavy decisions, he'll say, I believes we could goes and takes this tribute to the oracles from not a Goliath, from an Uthgard's holy place. I believe we could take its froms, insert location here of a stand that's not his own, if he can do that.
That's the thing. You don't know where any of the other stands are. You know their names,
okay,
but you do not know geographically where they are. That is a secret kept within the tribe itself. So you don't know where the red tiger stand is. You do know roughly where the elk stand is because Mira told you. She said it was southwest of the Evermore. And you know that is Flint Rock, but you do not know where it is specifically.
Never mind. Gulbrand will say, in a very ashamed, like, y'all have never heard Gulbrand sound so small. And he will say, I knows where we can go and get an artifacts to present to the oracles.
Long face, big man.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, one more time.
Why the long face, big man?
He's just really tall, Valkyr says. It's always like that.
I spent years of my life in pursuits to claims sections of lands that belongs to my tribes. We would have to desecrate many graves and much tribal lands to acquiesce this piece of histories. But I see no other ways to preserve the paths. Sorry, I cannot make Gulbrand talk simply. It's killing me.
So it's acquiesce and what was the other one? Espionage. Two high-level Scrabble words for.
I can't do it.
No, it's very good. I enjoy it. Okay. Do either of you respond in any way?
Yeah, man, tell us where it.
Suggestion. But obviously weighs heavily upon you. But...
You're kind of fuzzy, my dude.
Oh, it might be my mic. Is hello.
Yeah, that's better.
Check.
It's a little echoey.
Word. Let me get that refresh real quick.
Blurb.
So straight up, Gulbrand's very angsty right now, but Devin's chill.
Did Mike get better? Worse?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Tyler was saying, well, I have no suggestions, and if it isn't too heavy upon your mind, perhaps we'll do exactly as you said.
You're muted, Devin.
Nah, I'm just talking about stuff. If it's possible, we could go and obtains this artifacts without violence. But I am doubtful. It was the greatest achievements of my lives to have returned this lands to my tribes. But I can almost seize now that it is imperative that we desecrate this stand in order to preserve the paths. Gulbrand straightens up a little bit. I will take you to stone stands if it is what you wishes. But it may shed much blood yet to obtain the artifacts that is theirs.
Would it be youth god blood?
Undoubtedly. Blue bear blood. Undoubtedly.
If it
You're
eases
cool with that?
if it eases Gulbrand's mind, you would know your tribe is migratory, of course. Stone Stand is on the northern end of the High Forest. Your tribe is not in the immediate area.
Well,
doesn't mean it won't.
I mean, Gulbrand knows where it is, but does he knows how long it would take to get there?
Quite a few days. Just over a 10-day, I think. I have it
as long
written
as
down.
Devin was thinking.
12 days.
What did you say, Bergen? I'm sorry, I didn't catch whatever you said.
I don't even remember.
Love it.
Fair enough. So, are we sitting at the dinner table?
You are.
Gulbrand orders like 3 more glasses of beer or like several shots of forest water if it's there.
They don't have any more fermented, but they do bring you ale. Suzette is happy to serve it and senses some
Gulbrand
tension
takes
and dips out.
two flagons at a time and like drinks it.
Valkyr leans over and like whispers to you guys, I think we fucking broke him, man. Look at him.
No, that's
Jesus.
just how he drinks.
Oh, okay, good. Man, I must have had a hell of a time while I was gone.
I am a little bit bigger than you. He says, I do not know in other ways. The dragons says that it is, that we must speak with this. The giants called it an oracles. I knows better than anyone's that oracles have insights into the worlds in ways that the mortals cannot comprehend. We must speak with it, even if it means that I have to alienate my tribes. He gets a very, like, Gulbrand's kind of grim, but, like, very dark look on his face. Like, he kind of looks like he's signing his own death warrant for a second.
Davos will nod his head and agree with you. Like, no, as much as I hate to admit it, you're right. There's far more at stake here than what belongs to your tribe. The entire continent is at risk until these giants are settled, and we cannot. The 2 oldest entities we have found about this have both pointed us in the same direction. We can't ignore it.
This one gets it. I wills deals with the aftermaths. He holds up his hands. You can see the tattoos on the back of his hands. Maybe some slightly new, like, if anyone's ever done martial arts, you'll know that you get a couple of, like, fingernail scratches from people when you try to grapple, even when their nails are cut. And he shows his hands, maybe with some new scratches on them. He says, I will deals with the aftermaths of whatever comes with my tribes. It is beyond importance that the path is preserved, even if the Blue Bear tribe is not. Gulbrand gets drunk as fuck. He's, doesn't like that thought, so continues his binge drinking.
Yeah, tell her, clap him on the shoulder and say, "It's your path that got us here."
I'm sorry, say that again.
It's your path that got us here. Or the path, rather.
You do not speak untruths. Has not. It's been like almost 2 weeks since he's, used prescience, right? A little longer, maybe a little shorter.
Yeah, it was I think the night before the fire giant, so a little over, not quite a full week, I think.
Oh, okay, so he says,
Oh no, I'm sorry. This is at the end of your rest. Yeah, like a week and a half.
Yeah, so he says, you do not speak untruths. There was a times when I could not imagine looking forwards down the path for less than a days. But it gives me hopes to be here with all of yous, and hopes that the paths can be maintained. It has brought us here, and perhaps it shall bring us to the ends of a whole path, and not the crumbling ones. I like to think at this point, Gulbrand's like slurring, like he's. The longer this conversation has gone on, the more he's drank, and the more he's kind of trying to forget what he's promised to do.
Davos, likewise, claps a hand on your back, stands at the dinner table and says, "All right, man, you're way ahead of the rest of us, but I think you're right about one thing. We all deserve a drink. Come on down to the Nightstone Inn. There's something I've been wanting to show you." And throughout this whole week, while you guys have been working on various things, you've seen Davos playing with Mezzo and with Oren and working on various musical ditties and lyrics and stuff. And he leads you down.
I like to think Gulbrand stands up and like has to use Davos to steady himself, and like big old hand comes down on his shoulder and like almost dislocates it, like doop.
Basically. He takes you down to the Nightstone Inn, and Davos immediately makes his way to the stage, where you see Oren and Mezzo are standing by. And by stage, it's more of a few crates next to a table made into a makeshift stage. As Davos, Mezzo, and Oren take that area, the crowd in the bar settles down once more. It is late afternoon. It is early evening, late afternoon. There are many people in here. It is dinner time. It is supper. There are people drinking. There are people relaxing after a long day's labor as the sunlight has died. And you watch the crowd sort of sizing up these, Mezzo they haven't really seen, and Davos they haven't seen play firsthand. And you watch as Davos undoes a buckle on his pauldron. He lets it hit the floor, and with a heavy thud, as he reaches behind his back and he pulls forward Shadow Axe, his blackened lute. He stretches out his calloused fingers and, without strumming, begins going through a few chords. Oren grabs a couple of utensils and mutters something under his breath before striking the air, causing a deep thump of a drum to sound from nothing. He strums a bit and seems to get the rhythm of it. Different heights making different pitches. Mezzo pulls the feather from his hair and runs his fingers along the edge with a shower of sparks, extending the feather to almost 3 feet in length. And the crowd grows hushed as Oren nods for Davos to say something to the audience. Davos clears his throat. Years ago, when I lived in Oilbar, a good friend of mine lost her father. Would not leave the graveyard for much time at all. Oren and I would visit her and would do our best to distract her from her father's passing, something she would return the favor with when my father passed. But while we were in the graveyard, we wrote the lyrics to this song. This is Smells Like 10 Spirits.
Oh, Smell Like Teen Spirits. Sorry, Devin's not very familiar with it.
There it is.
Hear that.
All right. As Davos, Mezzo, and Oren take the stage, the crowd in the bar settles down once more. You see a new side of Davos emerge. While you've seen him play his lute 1,000 times, you've never seen him so focused yet so relaxed. Mezzo's long feather bow gives off a dull glow as he joins in. Oren grins giddily unable to contain his excitement as the song begins to build and build and build. Davos plays with a grace that makes it look easy, even as his strumming begins to take on a wild and different tempo.
What is Davos playing?
A loop, yeah. All attention of the tavern turns to you undivided as the dimly lit inn is illuminated by the dull glow of sparks literally flying from the stage as they play. Davos and Orin share a look of infectious glee as they play off of each other. The flames of the candles seem to jump with each crescendo, and across the inn, feet tap, heads bang, and tankards clank on the table as the townsfolk transform from a collection of laborers and tradesmen into a motley crew of punks, as the Nightstone Inn becomes the first venue for this group's unique performance of Smells Like Teen Spirits.
Can Gulbrand cast Fog Cloud to make, like, stage fog?
Do it.
Etc.
You see fog fill the inn. You see Daphne fire off a spell as flashing orbs of light appear to drift through the color spectrum in time with the melody. Sidiri and a few of the guards pound their fist on the table in time with the music. And for the second time now, you see 285 crowd surfing atop this now mob that this song has turned this sleepy inn into. All of you find yourself on your feet, unable to contain the surge of electrical energy this music has invited within you. Fists are in the air, cheering and shouting, more alive than any of you have felt in months, and you find yourselves feeling inspired. You've all just attended your first ever Fae Fighters concert. Oh man, do they fucking rock. And that, my dudes, is where we're gonna end tonight's session.
Sweet.
Cool.
What an ending.
I'm getting kind of fond of us stopping sessions with concerts.
I thought you guys would end up at Stone Stand. This is the last thing before, so can't say I'm too surprised.
Oh
But,
god, we're gonna Stone Stand next session?
Next session,
Ugh.
yeah.
Ah.
You'll probably do more than that if we're being real.
Yeah, Gulbrand's not ready, but Devin will get ready.
Sweet. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
my dudes.
same, yeah.
Sorry, this one was, more chatting and shit than combat. I know we had a lot to
that's
get
cool.
through with the rest,
Yeah.
but hopefully it
I
was
don't know
fun.
what it is. Like, these are my favorite kinds of sessions. Even as a DM, like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Just getting shit done. We got a lot done.
Yeah. And next week will be pretty fucking eventful.
Mm.
But hope you guys
Bring
enjoyed.
fucking swords to Stone Stand.
Yeah. Sharpen up.
How does Gulbrand know how far Stone Stand is away?
12 days. It's mileage I don't know, but it's
But it's 12 days.
12 days ride with the horses. Walking quite a ways longer.
So Gulbrand knows that he needs to tell everybody we need to get horses.
Yes, and definitely let you know that those are
Mentioned,
available.
yeah. Okay.
Um,
Thanks for letting me know that. Devin didn't realize that.
no
We'll
problem.
write that down.
I think it's close to 20 days walking distance. But you would also go
Ouch.
through the woods, which would be different.
Sorry.
Other than that,
Devin's drunker than Devin thought he would be.
other than that, I love you, dudes. Take care of yourself. Happy New Year, first session of the new year, and
Yeah.
is it Friday yet?
Yeah. See you soon.
Later,
All right,
guys.
guys. Later.